A group of people approach a boy named Orandura. He's an enchanter, and it looks like the trio doesn't get along with him. Oran assumes that they're here relating to a matter about their next expedition. While seated at the table, he tries to tell them that he's in the middle of an activity that has something to do with the expedition. However, before he could even finish his sentence, the trio arrogantly informs him that he has been kicked out of the party as of today. A man named Oliver Cardiff, who appears to belong to the rank of Sword Saint, informs Oran that this is a serious matter and he has been removed without consent. Oran loses his cool and asks him the reason behind their attitude. He reminds them that they have been childhood friends and brothers in arms. Oliver tells him that this is the exact reason that he included him in the party in the first place. Apparently, they come from the same village. Oliver claims that from this point onwards, it's going to be too hard for Oran. He decides to be completely straightforward and blunt with his old friend by telling him that simply put, he's not skilled enough. Oran becomes completely shocked by the words. He stands speechless as his childhood friend asks him to leave the party without creating any fuss. A little backstory reveals that 8 years ago, 10-year-old Oran and Oliver formed a party. That party gained the people's attention and thus was called a hero's party. Day by day, they unlocked numerous achievements. For instance, in the Southern Great Labyrinth where no one has ever reached the very bottom, Oran and Oliver's party became the first to reach the 94th level. They were a super skilled party that climbed up to S rank a mere few years after it was formed. Back in the present, Oran asks them why his skill is the only one being targeted. He asks Oliver the reason for not saying the same for all the party members. He tries to make Oliver understand that if they keep pointing fingers at each other, they will not end up anywhere. Oliver cuts him off mid-sentence again. He tells him that all this time, the party failed to realize the importance of the existence of a support magic user enchanter. However, in the Dragon Raid last month, the party finally realized how wrong they were about Oran's place in the party. To add a final nail to the coffin, fueling the anger inside of Oran, Oliver tells him without hesitating that he has realized that compared to other S-class enchanters, Oran's support magic is leagues below theirs. Oran lowers his face and clenches his fist after the betrayal. He reminds his party that his original job was a swordsman, so of course he would fall short of skills and fall behind them. Before Oran could say something about creating original magic, Derek Mosley, the defender, interrupts him. He tells Oran to quit his yapping. Derek points at Oran and yells the reason he converted to enchanter is that his sword skills also fall short compared to Oliver's. Derek aggressively approaches Oran and tells him that he also falls short as an enchanter, so he's not in any position to complain. Oran maintains his calm composure and reminds them that their party is lacking an enchanter. That is why he was chosen, as he was the one with the highest aptitude to convert. He confidently claims that he has compensated for his weaknesses with his own personal magic spells, and it is thanks to this that they have been able to survive so deep in the labyrinths. Unfortunately, much to his shock, Oliver completely ignores his words and states that they are the hero's party and are ready to move forward without him, as they have already found a replacement enchanter. Oliver claims that although he feels bad that things turned out to be like this, there is no other option left. Oran's vision gets dark as he stands speechless, wondering why they're willing to treat their comrade like this who has been with them through thick and thin. In the end, he just assumed that he was an unneeded existence and admits that he doesn't have a place here anymore. He thanks his party for everything and tells them that he's going to leave without bothering them anymore. Without any shame, another party member, Annalie Wild, a sorcerer, comments that even though he was able to do both magic and sword skills, his level is only A. She finds it annoying that Oran questioned everything they did. She mocks him one last time before he leaves and calls him a master of none. She tells him to try to do something that suits him this time. Oran gloomily looks back and thinks about how he will always give his all to the party, and this is what they were thinking about this whole time. While opening the door for the last time, he questions why he ever tried to get involved with a party like them. The next day, he wakes up in the afternoon and realizes that he overslept. He had arrived at the inn after getting abandoned yesterday and sulked the entire day. Now he has decided not to think about what happened. Shrugging off all the negative thoughts, he thinks about how he's going to make a living. He's able to only think of 3 things. One is that he can continue his work and scour labyrinths for materials and sell them. The second option is that he can work somewhere, and although he might earn less, it's more stable. The third option is that he can open a shop and earn a lot, but there is also a high risk of failure. Eventually, he concludes that among the 3 options, the best one is to continue as is. It's not like he wants to become rich as he came to the city to be an explorer. He came here with Oliver, but it's not like he wanted to chase him around. He's decided that he will return to being a swordsman. It appears that a labyrinth has just opened up nearby recently and has decided to practice there. The guild staff asks him if he's going to go alone, and he wonders if there's a problem with that. She informs him that although rule-wise there is no problem, it is quite dangerous inside, so he should enter with a party. He thanks her for warning him and asks her if she has closely looked at the guild card she has given him. Her jaw drops to the floor when she realizes that he has reached level 94. She awkwardly apologizes for her rude behavior and allows him to enter. The sudden change in her attitude even surprises Oran. He enters the first floor and encounters a horned rabbit. He smiles while realizing that a monster like this should be perfect to train with a dull blade. He effortlessly slashes the creature and realizes that it's an easy win. Maybe he hasn't dulled as much as he thought. Since he has come all the way to the labyrinth, he decides to go a bit deeper to train some more. Step by step, he reaches the 3rd floor and realizes the number of demons is gradually increasing, but the monsters around here have low intelligence. He decides that maybe he should try casting his support magic too. It seems that support magic is a type of magic that is commonly applied as buffs to one's own body or to increase a weapon's effectiveness. Not only for party members, but enchanters are also able to buff themselves. He activates this strength. Support magics are extremely convenient. However, they still have a weakness, and it happens to be time. Their effects don't last forever. Depending on each individual's magic resistance, the effective time also changes. In his case, it is 180 seconds. Therefore, he only has 3 more seconds to deal with the demons that are remaining. Enchanters who use support magic are always racing against time. Orin realizes that he has achieved a new fighting style that involves switching between swordsman and enchanter. He has a new determination too. He wants to evolve to the point where he will never let anyone call him a master of none ever again, but he will become the strongest jack of all trades. Eventually, Orin reaches the 7th floor and decides to call it a day. He saves his progress at the transfer crystal, which allows the user to teleport to saved floors. These crystals are placed in front of each floor. While he is in the middle of doing so, he overhears the conversation of another party that seems to be bickering over something. One of them is getting yelled at for leaving behind a girl as bait and running away. Apparently, he thinks what he did was right. As soon as Orin hears that part, he gets shocked. The culprit tells them that they were more monsters than they had thought. So rather than leaving old party members behind, he decided to leave someone who had just joined. It's almost as if Orin is getting flashbacks of the day he was abandoned. He can somewhat relate to the victim of the situation, but he also blames her for choosing party members like them. However, when the thought of her possibly dying crosses his mind, he breaks his silence. He finally turns around and stares them in the eyes. While calling them a bunch of kids who wouldn't stop whining, he asks them why they aren't going back to save her instead of complaining. Without any hesitation, he calls them the type of people he hates the most. The culprit raises his fist while yelling that he was left all alone back there. How could he have possibly saved her? Orin effortlessly dodges his punch and swings the entire man in the air. With clear rage on his face, he asks the party members about the location of the girl. While sweat rolls down their faces, the trio gives away the victim's location. After that, in the blink of an eye, he disappears into the labyrinth. Meanwhile, the helpless girl is surrounded by huge monsters in every direction. She tries to put up a barrier and prays that someone will save her before her barrier magic collapses. Orin runs at his maximum speed while declaring that people who leave their members behind have no right to form parties. She keeps calling out her older sister's name and hopes that she might come to save her. Suddenly, someone uses air shock to push all of the orcs away. Orin has arrived to save the day. He politely asks her to only focus on her magic barrier and to leave the rest to him. Meanwhile, she wonders if the guy is a magician or a swordsman. Orin uses his support magic to amplify the strength, skill, and sharpness of his sword. The girl stares in amazement when she realizes that the swordsman used support magic as well. Orin calculates that there are about 13 orcs in his surroundings. Seeing their strength, he comments that it is understandable that a lower level party would flee against this kind of opponent. However, it is more than enough for him to handle it alone. With a single swing, he eliminates all of them. He turns around to face the girl and asks her if she's fine. He smiles while casting healing magic on her. The girl bursts out in tears and admits that she was scared to death. Orin pats her head while knowing that she is feeling this way because all of her allies abandoned her. She thanks him and the duo leaves after hearing more demon beasts approaching. When they reach the dungeon's entrance, the girl introduces herself as Sophia Claude. It seems that Orin recognizes the name with the emblem on his shirt. She asks him to let her treat him to dinner so that she can properly offer her gratitude. She tells him that she cannot arrange something home cooked, so they will have to visit a restaurant. Orin blushes a little and hesitates to accept the offer at first, but eventually gives in. He asks her if she's decided on the place. If not, he's willing to introduce some restaurants to her. So they're off to a good start. Her rabbit emblem shows that she belongs to a major explorer clan called the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. Basically, a clan refers to an organization made up of a gathering of explorers. Items brought back from dungeons can be processed and sold here. The sales from the store are used for the equipment of the members. Apparently, her clan has the largest number of explorers. The part he doesn't understand is why Sophia had to join a stray party. She takes him to her clan's restaurant where he recognizes the girl Sophia refers to as her older sister. The girl reprimands Sophia for already having a boyfriend at such a young age. She then stares at Orin and tells him that it has been a while. Her name is Selma Claude, and she is the leader of her S-rank party. She is famous not just for her beauty, but for also being the strongest enchanter. Her skill allows her to be on par with Oliver's hero party. Apparently, she is also the reason why Orin was expelled. His strength as an enchanter was compared to hers by Oliver. Apparently, Selma introduced the concept of roles among party members as well. The role of being the attacker, defensive, defender, rear support, etc. Because of the new role system, Orin had to convert to being an enchanter and was seen as inferior compared to her. However, he doesn't understand why she's glaring at him like that right now. It looks like she has a misunderstanding that he has somewhat fishy intentions with her sister. However, Orin doesn't have to clear his name as Sophia does that for him. She calls him his savior, but it only lands her in hot water. Selma gives her an earful for secretly entering a dungeon all on her own. She then apologizes to Oran, who now understands why a member of such a popular clan joined a stray party. He requests her to let him sit down as people have started to stare at him as if he's some criminal. He realizes that they haven't had a proper conversation since the collaborative subjugation last month, in which she was the leader and he was just a support enchanter. When Sophia asks Selma how she knows Oran, Selma informs her younger sister that Oran belongs to the Heroes Party. Sophia suddenly almost screams in shock and suddenly gets formal with him. While avoiding eye contact, he informs him that he is no longer a part of the Heroes Party as he left yesterday. Selma refuses to believe that he simply left and Oliver let him without objecting. Oran tells her that he has his own circumstances, so it was something that both of them consented to. She asks him if he's free now and she wants to do something for her. Oran misunderstands the situation and assumes that she's going to recruit him to her clan, so he refuses. Selma corrects him by telling him that she would like to accompany them on the collaborative exploration the day after tomorrow. She reveals that it is a new plan that they have for the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. A few rookie explorers accompanied by an A-rank explorer will climb to the 51st floor of the Southern Dungeon for 3 days. She asks him why she's following such a reckless schedule. It usually takes 6 to 12 months to clear no matter how skilled a rookie is. She admits that although the plan is reckless, if they follow the shortest path, then it won't be impossible. The clan is made to work like there is no tomorrow because of their sponsors' expectations. Oran comments that if the sponsors are being persistent about such a reckless plan, then there must be some other ulterior motives. Oran tells her that he knows that if the rookies can bypass the boss floor, it would strengthen the clan overall. Selma's eyes become wide open when she realizes this guy managed to infer this much from what she said. She realizes that he's far smarter than she had thought. Apparently, a boss will appear every 10th floor and the rookie will have to defeat it in order to proceed to the next floor. It is a common occurrence to see rookies dying in those boss battles. But if the veterans were to distract the boss while the rookies bypass it and register with the teleportation crystals stationed at the entrance, they can advance further without facing the boss. In other words, it will greatly reduce the risk of training new members. Oran asks why Selma is willing to tell such important details to an outsider like him. Much to Oran's surprise, she tells him that she highly values him and it is something she realized during their previous collaborative subjugation. Oran asks himself why he's so happy over the fact that Selma evaluates him highly. If he accepts this proposal, he would have to go back to being an enchanter. Therefore, he tells Selma that he has his own plans. However, Sophia pleads with him with puppy eyes to participate with her. Oran contemplates for a moment and then agrees. However, he has one condition. He tells her that although she values him as an enchanter, he is already converted into a swordsman. Therefore, he is willing to join them as a swordsman. He seems quite stubborn as far as this condition is concerned and refuses to yield. She agrees to his condition and invites him to the clan's headquarters at 8 p.m. After the dinner is over, it appears that Oran gave Sophia money for the dinner. She concludes that he is indeed a kind and strong person. However, Selma doesn't approve of the direction Sophia's feelings towards Oran are headed. Selma reminds her sister that compared to him, she isn't behind as far as kindness and strength are concerned. The sisters bicker jokingly, and Selma thinks about how she should deal with the party that abandoned Sophia. They reach the clan headquarters, and Selma wonders that she should really focus on the guys that will partake in the collaborative exploration. She enters the captain's room, Vince Briarth, and reports 2 new things. First, she tells him that Oran has left the Heroes Party. Vince comments that without him, the Heroes Party won't be able to fight to their fullest. He also compliments Oran's magic activation speed and adds that it is 4 times faster than his. He also speaks highly of Oran's magical spells. Selma adds that Oran's ability to assess battle is also extraordinary. He also has all the necessary skills needed for an enhancer. The second thing she tells him is about her invitation to Oran. Vince comments that he has no problem with that, but wonders why Selma is so interested in him. He asks her if she's intending to add him to the first squad to replace someone important that is left. The only problem is his condition to be a swordsman. Her clan seems to be heading towards a downfall. Meanwhile, Oran meets someone close to him and finally breaks down in tears and relieves his stress. Oran has a dream in which he remembers old memories of his playful fights with Oliver. He was the weak one, because of which Oliver had to carry the burden of his superior's expectations. There is another girl named Shion who is always by Oran's side. He wakes up from the dream but fails to recall who the girl was. Oran steps into the entrance of the Southern Dungeons, gazing around in mild disbelief. Sophia and Selma approach him from behind, extending morning greetings. He reciprocates with a friendly "good morning," noticing that Sophia appears noticeably different this time. Wondering if it's the new uniform, Oran comments that the clothes suit her well. There's something fishy about how intrigued they are by each other. Sophia's cheeks flush as she thanks him, while Selma gives her a quizzical look and questions Oran with a hint of annoyance, asking if he's skilled in flirting or if he's involved with someone romantically, Oni-san playing the role of the ultimate big sister. Oran denies having such a person, explaining they all live together as members of the Heroes Party, so he's accustomed to it. Oni-san, somewhat embarrassed, realizes her misunderstanding and mentions that all the heroes once shared a mansion. Sophia inquires about Oran's current living arrangements, and he mentions renting a room in an inn. He had considered getting a new house, but hesitated. Oni-san jokingly teases Sophia, asking if she wants to live with Oran. Sophia denies it, insisting she's just curious. Even Oni-san is getting mixed signals from them. They all wonder why Oran is standing at a distance, and he explains that as an outsider, he doesn't want to make them uncomfortable. Selma then suggests that he accompany her to ease the rookies' tension. Oran agrees and they move closer to the group. Recalling the previous night's meeting, Oran explains that he visits the headquarters as per their agreement. He meets Clan Captain Vince and receives details about the collaborative exploration from Selma. To sum up, the exploration spans 3 days, venturing into the Great Southern Dungeon, progressing from the 1st floor to the 51st. To accommodate the rookies, camping outside will be minimized once they reach a specific floor count. 10 rookie parties will join, with each client leader responsible for 2 parties. 5 guides, including Selma and himself, oversee the groups. Oran mulls over the collaborative exploration's prospects, acknowledging something substantial is brewing at the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky's headquarters. The battle against monsters, it seems, will take turns between the 2 parties, and if any unexpected event arises, the guide leader will handle it, which is really self-explanatory because every guide leader must handle such situations. As they talk, she asks if there are any queries related to the whole plan. Oran wonders aloud if having only 5 guide leaders is enough. She suggests involving more parties to help the rookies, reducing risk. She responds that while the goal is to guide the rookies to the 51st floor, some risks aid their growth. However, Oran feels they're not sharing the full plan with him. Accepting the situation, he agrees to cooperate. Moving ahead, she mentions payment, which is 2 gold coins up front, 10 upon mission completion. He finds it generous, and he thinks it's way too much and realizes she values him. Who wouldn't want to jump in? The quest is a paying gig. The next day, he notes the captain's silence. Doubts about the mission remain. He greets the 3 figures before him. Oran, one of the guide leaders, introduces himself as a frontline attacker. As he questions their roles and checks them out, he learns the team consists of 2 defenders, Anselm and Arnold, and a healer, Kathy. Oran wonders if there's more to their composition. Oni expresses trust in them for the next 4 days. Their goal, guide and greet the rookies. In the mission's arrangement, he senses oddities. Nonetheless, he agrees to collaborate, hoping to manage the hurdles that might come his way. Greeting everyone with a warm good morning, Selma-san reminds them of the plan. The ascent to the 51st floor of the daunting dungeon begins today. Nervousness clouds the air, evident in their expressions. Addressing their fears head-on, she assures them that unexpected challenges have been considered and a strong ally secured. Selma-san introduces their ace, Oran, revealing his astonishing accomplishment of reaching the 94th floor, a feat even they haven't achieved. Oran's sudden unveiling jolts him, and he listens as she narrates his history with the hero's party, making him a dungeon expert. The crowd reacts with a mixture of awe and murmurs, a flurry of questions forming. Oran's skeptical. The enthusiasm seems excessive. Looks like he didn't like all the attention. A confident voice from the crowd resonates, asking if this newfound assurance could propel them to the 51st floor. The chorus of agreement resonates, and she proclaims the expedition's commencement. Thunderous cheers erupt, propelling them towards the mission. As they assemble, instructions to stay with their respective parties echo. Oran inquires if the earlier pep talk was a bit too spirited, to which she admits his hero's party acclaim fueled her words. Still, she insists that leading the novices is her role. Oran nods, recognizing his responsibility over the 9th and 10th squadrons. His attention shifts to the rookies, promising talents, especially the 10th squad. Oran muses about his capability to guide such potentials. Their exchange unfolds, her trust in him palpable. As he takes the spotlight, Oran identifies himself, pledging to guide them for the next 3 days. Warm smiles and polite acknowledgements greet him, leaving him humbled by their respect. Inwardly, Oran marvels at their reception, a reward perhaps for his hero's party history. Sophia from the 10th squad draws his focus. Gathering their names and roles, Oran ensures all are accounted for. They confirm unity within the 10th squadron and a 3-person squad is confirmed. A rare configuration. Oran acknowledges their rarity, knowing fewer members heighten danger, particularly with rookies. A voice interjects, expressing doubts about the seemingly brash attitude. Oran is taken aback, sensing the skepticism amidst promise. Worries for the future echo in his mind. As they stand united, the journey looms ahead, the 51st floor awaiting their exploration. Gathered together, Oran nods in approval, content that the entire team has convened. No problems as long as we're all here, he concurs. With a nod, he prompts, why don't we begin with introductions? One by one, they take their turns to share. Leading the way is Logan Hayward, commander of the 10th Squadron, occupying the Enchanter position. He speaks with unwavering confidence, aspiring to outshine Selma-san in the days to come. Oran can't help but raise an internal brow at Logan's audacity before motioning for the next introduction. Coraline Inglaud, the Defender. Oran's curiosity piqued when he notes her choice of light armor despite her protective role. Her explanation sheds light on her strategy. an evasion-focused defender who aims to engage magical creatures up close, aiming for maximum takedowns. Oran mulls over this approach, contemplating the wisdom of evasion over direct confrontation. Sophia Claude, possessing the roles of both a rare attacker and a magician, steps up next. Surprisingly, her simple introduction manages to ease Oran's rest of thoughts. Amidst the diverse personalities, he begins to reevaluate his initial assessment of the mission's complexity, a growing suspicion that the challenges ahead might be more formidable than he had initially gauged. The collaborative exploration has finally commenced. The rookies, despite their initial excitement, grow quieter as they enter the dungeon. Among them, Coraline of Squad 10 questions why a member of the Heroes Party is joining their endeavor. She's quite judgy, isn't she? From the perspective of the Heroes Party, they don't see them as rivals. Oran asks if she hasn't heard Selma's explanation. Oh, our hero is sarcastic too. He clarifies that he is no longer part of the Heroes Party and that they have always been cautious about the activities of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan. Caroline questions Oran's departure from the Heroes Party, wondering why he quit when they are so admired and it's everyone's end goal to be in the Heroes Academy. He dismisses the probing, explaining he simply isn't comfortable with such interactions. Oran brushes off Coraline's concerns, stating that it doesn't concern her. Is he hiding something? Why does he sound so suspicious? Coraline then brings up Sophia, asking if Oran is acquainted with her. Oran confirms his connection to Sophia, and Caroline continues, saying that Sophia speaks highly of a remarkable individual joining their operation. Sophia affirms this, mentioning that she has been saved by Oran in the past. Coraline, in turn, has heard of Oran's strength and his Heroes Party affiliation. Oran contemplates whether the conversation is meant to ease Sophia's tension, but his thoughts are interrupted by the growls of two dangerous wolves. Oran observes that their traps have worked effectively, causing the wolves to react. The traps are designed to activate based on time, and their success is evident. Such traps require skill to set up, but once in place, they are hard to detect. Multitudes would deal with the pursuers while saving energy for the crucial battles. Time was scarce. Pointless combat wasn't an option. On the 20th dungeon floor, Coraline asks Oran about their progress. He estimates around 10 more minutes at their current pace. This surprises her, and he believes they'd even finish ahead of schedule. They all make a good team after all. He observes his squad, initially skeptical of the trio. Logan, once perceived as an arrogant rookie, showed impressive enchanter skills. If he manages to endure prolonged battles, he could seamlessly integrate into a lively group. Undoubtedly a prodigy. However, the drawback lies in his role as an enchanter. His guidance in this field is rather lackluster. Yet, as he continues to amass combat experience, his strength is bound to boost. Then there's Coraline. Her aspiration is to be a swift defender, but despite her impressive speed, two shortcomings impede her. First, a tendency to recklessly charge into the fray. Though close combat suits a defender, her approach worries him. Secondly, her choice of wielding two daggers. While it might complement her abilities, it doesn't align well with her team's skills. Lastly, there's Sophia. Though seemingly trailing the other two, her skills have already outgrown rookie standards. While her hesitation poses an issue, more interaction with her team could compensate for it. She lacks any glaring novice flaws. Oran checks her out carefully, and very observantly, her future growth intrigues him. As for the 9th Squadron, there's room for improvement. Upon completion of the collaborative subjugation of bosses, our guide leader announces a halt. Oran reflects, we'll wrap it up for today. Selma underestimated the Knight's influence, I guess. Selma directs the three of them to work and move forward to the 21st floor. She advises card registration for the floor, and as they conclude for the day, they all affirm, yes ma'am. Selma acknowledges Oran's efforts, to which he replies, you too, Selma-san. She inquires about the rookie, and he notes room for improvement in the 9th Squadron and praises the 10th Squadron's excellence. However, he highlights the lacking coordination, particularly Caroline. Selma chuckles, remarking she might be third in line, but she'd come far from her past self. They bid each other good night. Finally, they can get some sleep. The sun rises on the following day. Oran's apprehensions prove valid as he reads a newspaper. The front page reveals the replacement of the Heroes Party enchanter. Oran Dura's expulsion is now public. Oliver, the leader of the Heroes Party, asserts that Oran's subpar enchanting skills were the primary reason for the replacement. Oliver confesses they were unaware of Oran's limited capabilities in this area. Despite this, the party reached the unprecedented 94th dungeon floor, despite harboring this disappointment. Philly Carpenter, a recent addition, is an explorer active in the Western Great Dungeon. She's known as one of the finest enchanters on the continent, standing shoulder to shoulder with Selma Claude. The Heroes Party has newfound hope with her inclusion, marking a notable improvement. Oran, however, bears disappointment. He hoped that news of Philly's arrival wouldn't emerge until after the collaborative mission. He's skeptical of the Heroes Party and worries about the potential shift in the rookie's perception, especially Logan from the 10th Squadron. He doubts if Logan's pride would allow him to follow instructions after learning of this. Oran believes not all of the rookies would read the article, but for those who do, their view of him could change significantly. He's even curious about himself. Resigned to the situation, Oran heads towards the meeting point. A familiar voice calls his name. Runa, a healer in the Heroes Party, remarks on the time that has passed since the last meeting. 4 days ago. Oren acknowledges this, but reveals that while she was part of the party, Runa was the only one who treated him kindly. Her absence during his expulsion leaves him with lingering regrets. Runa asks him to reconsider returning to the party, emphasizing their need for his skills. Oren senses her high regard for him. He questions whether this is what the entire party wants. Runa clarifies that her plea is personal and that she'll do her best to persuade everyone if Oren agrees. Oren's face grows serious. He questions the sincerity of Runa's request, but she insists she hasn't read the article causing this rift. She recalls their promise to conquer the Great Dungeon together, including Oliver. Yet it was Oliver who led to her departure. She believes that promise has lost its meaning, a sentiment Oren quietly absorbs. Hopefully they trust each other more than this. He realizes that prolonging the situation will only bring trouble. He apologizes and walks away, leaving Runa disheartened. Oren acknowledges that even if he desired to continue and uphold the promise, he can't return. There's no place for him anymore. The sadness is evident on his face as he conveys that it's all too late, and everything has changed since that fateful day. Amidst the buzz of hushed conversations and murmurs, the aftermath of an article had taken hold of the crowd's attention. Oren found himself amidst the chatter, wondering how many would lose faith in him after reading about his expulsion. The article claimed that enchanter Arundura, once a part of the esteemed heroes party, had been ousted due to his perceived lack of skill. He is probably wishing he had trained better. In the midst of the Italian dialogue swirling around, a question lingered in the air. Had Oren truly been expelled due to his incompetence? He greeted everyone with a simple good morning, a stark contrast to the previous day's excitement he had fueled. Understandably, confusion hung in the air. Poor guy, he's so nervous now. Selma chimed in with an apologetic tone, though she had nothing to apologize for. She's such a sweetheart. She acknowledged that if Oren's panic persisted, their collaborative exploration might crumble. Despite his moral-boosting efforts, the situation now demanded caution. Selma's unnecessary apology stemmed from her belief in supporting him, despite her lack of involvement. Oren brushed aside her concern, asserting that he would eventually overcome this hurdle. He held himself responsible for not revealing the truth earlier, a choice that had inadvertently caused problems for Selma. He assured her that he would still contribute to the exploration's success, allowing her to focus on her usual tasks. She agreed, placing her trust in his words. As they exchanged assurances, the atmosphere lightened. Squad 9 and 10 meetings were on the horizon, and greetings were exchanged with a renewed sense of camaraderie. The group assembled, and Oren decided it was time to confess. The article held mostly true. He had been removed from the party due to perceived inadequacy. At least he's true to his companion. He expressed regret for not revealing this sooner. Just then, Sophia stepped forward, her voice unwavering. She vouched for Oren's strength, recounting his swift defeat of countless orcs. Looks like somebody has a crush on somebody else. She firmly believed his abilities were far from lacking. Oren's gratitude shone through, thankful for her staunch support. He explained further, clarifying that his strength lay not in traditional heroic abilities, but in his mastery of the sword. Oren admitted his capacity to transport them to the 51st floor of the dungeon. Although he was no longer part of the hero's party, he pledged his dedication to safeguarding the group as Arundura. That's a good hero right there. His plea mirrored the previous day's call to action, urging them to give their all, as they had done before. As they journeyed into the depths of the Yaosujing Dungeon's 3rd floor, camaraderie and determination bloomed. 9 squad members battled monsters valiantly. Oren's heart swelled with a sense of accomplishment as trust was rebuilt. Leading by example, he offered guidance, grateful that the heavy tension had lifted. The 9th squad had shown that theories alone wouldn't suffice. They needed trust to succeed, hoping nothing stupid happens to break their trust. In the end, the unspoken tension of the morning gave way to a united front. Through trials and challenges, Oren's journey continued with newfound determination, the support of his peers propelling him forward. A presence of malevolent creatures looms ahead, prompting a simple question from their leader. Is the 10th squad ready? The unanimous chorus of yes resonates with a sense of unyielding determination. Always in motion, the squad advances. Oren, with a quick nod to Coraline, instructs her to draw the goblin's attention. Meanwhile, Logan steps in, wielding his support magic to reinforce her efforts, while Sophia undertakes the task of subduing the orcs lurking at the rear. It's Logan's magical prowess that intrigues Oren. The ability to cast 3 support spells at once defies his rookie status. Logan's skill is impressive, yet Coraline's charge remains as bold as ever. Her headlong rush seems to promise a smooth confrontation. However, the true challenge arises with Sophia, who still bears the scars of the orc attack from days before. Just as Oren anticipated, the trauma has left her frozen, trapped in the clutches of fear. Gently, he tries to coax her out of this internal tempest. Calm yourself, he implores, reminding her of the camaraderie they now share. The squad is her safety net, Coraline, Logan, and himself. She's not alone anymore, and this realization is what empowers her. Oren's encouragement sparks a fire within Sophia. No longer bound by the shadows of her past abandonment, she rallies her strength. Utilizing advanced magic, her unleashed power is nothing short of awe-inspiring. The explosive force creates a whirlwind of chaos, surprising even Oren. It's a testament to her growth and resilience. Coraline's jubilant cheer and their ensuing embrace mirror the pride and relief felt by the entire team. Sophia's accomplishment is met with widespread appreciation. The ensuing battle is arduous, testing their resolve. Yet, against the odds, they reach their destination, the 36th floor. Selma, the leader, congratulates the team for their success, offering praise for their accomplishments. Tomorrow marks the final day of their expedition, and Selma wisely advises everyone to rest and recharge, ensuring they're at their best for the finale. As the group disperses, Oren finds himself intercepted by Bernard and Ansem, guides of the night sky's Silver Rabbit. They extend a rare invitation, dinner. Grateful, Oren realizes that they haven't judged him based on a questionable article. The gratitude flows as he accepts their offer. As they speak, the focus shifts to Sophia. They inquire if she knows Oren, to which he confirms her recent acquaintance. Her tale spills forth, how Oren rescued her just 3 days prior in the depths of the dungeon. The conversation turns towards the dangerous circumstances of their meeting, shedding light on the specifics of that fateful encounter. The day's trials reveal the squad's resilience and growing bonds. As they prepare for their final push, camaraderie becomes their most potent weapon, strengthening their unity. Each step forward, though fraught with challenges, is now infused with a shared purpose that propels them towards their ultimate goal. Hoping no one backs out at this stage. Logan asks Sophia if she could tell him more about Oren back when he saved her. With her eyes sparkling with curiosity, he wants her to narrate everything with as much detail as possible. Sophia looks confused as to what Logan means by the word detail. He explains that he wants to know the type of magic he casts and the fighting style he uses. He asks Sophia if she even remembers what happened back then. By Sophia's expression, it looks like fear of dying was the only thing that was on her mind back then. She tries her best to recall and then mentions that Oren used a spell that made a tremendous wind pressure when she thinks she was called Shockwave. Only, this much information isn't enough to satisfy Logan, so he asks her for more. When Sophia mentions that she remembers him using support magic to enhance his sword, Logan's eyes open up wide in shock. He asks her if he correctly heard her say, sword. Sophia explains that Oren used the sword to defeat all the orcs quickly. Logan ponders over the new information for a moment. The fact that Oren not only uses his magic, but he can also fight with the sword is quite interesting for him. Sophia comments that although she's not sure about his circumstance, but she remembers him mentioning that he converted into a swordsman after leaving the hero's party. This shocks Logan even more. He finds it impossible to believe that Oren converted. It makes no sense to him because recently he just witnessed him act as part of an enchanter quite perfectly. Logan remembers that he had a misunderstanding this morning. He was somewhat disappointed when he read that Oren was expelled from the party. It looks like Logan really looks up to Oren, and his expectations were shattered when he found that out. Throughout the expedition, Logan followed Oren's instructions because of his role. Logan comments that the way the first battle was handled with Theory was extremely boring for him. However, what changed his view was that particular fight with the orc. When he realized that the orc's movement was suddenly dampened, it was a defining moment for Logan's perception of Oren. He couldn't believe that a support magic like that exists, the type that could lower the target's abilities. Logan is still astounded by the fact that Oren can also cast a debuff. He explains the debuff is a high-level magic that is difficult to cast. You need to accurately grasp the target's magical resistance and precisely tweak the magic formula for it to work. The craziest part is that even the most popular enchanter, Selma, finds it hard to use such difficult magic. The fact that Oren is able to use it so casually speaks volumes about his strength. The only word that comes to Logan's mind is the word amazing. The first time they fought together was according to the theory which was conducted to evaluate our skills. Back then, when that was done, efficient instructions were given to us based on their quirks and skills, which is why they were able to advance through without issues. Logan recalls that even though it's only a slight difference on how he usually fights, it is as if his skills have grown exponentially. He clenches his fist in excitement when he realizes that the differences are apparent, and Oren as an enchanter is beyond what he had originally expected. What he doesn't seem to understand is why Oren decided to convert into a front attacker. It's a different story that Oren is amazing even as a front attacker, judging from the fact that he could defeat a dozen or so orcs in an instant. Sophia and other squad members aspire to be like him when Logan wonders how Oren could be a frontline attacker and an excellent one at that. Logan lowers his head and comments that although he was called a prodigy by a bunch of people, a genuine prodigy can only be someone like Oren. He narrows his eyes and promises not to give up. This has only strengthened his determination more. He knows that he has to succeed as an explorer no matter what, and for that, he's willing to steal from Oren and get stronger. His squad members notice his angry expressions and call him out. He responds that he's just getting fired up for tomorrow's exploration. Meanwhile, at one of the restaurants affiliated with the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky, the squad is getting to know Oren better. The squad's guide leader Bernard wants everyone to drink heavily, but Oren tries his best to remind them of their exploration tomorrow. The guide leader Anselm takes Oren's side and reminds the others of their duties to instruct the rookies. Realizing that Oren is as straight-laced as Anselm, Bernard agrees to drink only till midnight. Oren comments that since his clan squad members are regulars at such expensive restaurants, they all must be highly privileged as far as their income is concerned. Bernard tells him that their pay is only mediocre compared to the hero's party. Since their job is basically a suicide mission, they at least want to enjoy as much good food as they can. One of them asks Oren if he did not live luxuriously before when he was back at the hero's party. Oren responds that since he also handled administration work back then, he didn't really have time to enjoy luxuries. Bernard asks him out of curiosity if he's still close to his previous party members. It appears that the rumor is floating around that the Heroes Party seems to be in somewhat of a disagreement, and the article to this matter also irritated Oren. He usually doesn't respond to these types of questions, but this time he comments that everyone in the Heroes Party has different tastes and interests, so they enjoy their free time privately and hardly ever eat together too. Everyone gets shocked that Oren is able to talk so freely about his ex-party. They ask him about the fact that he used to be an enchanter in the Heroes Party, but said on their first meeting that he was a front attacker and also used magic during combat. Oren adds that he uses magic to support the magic users during collaborative explorations, but he's a swordsman now. They ask him for reasons behind converting into a swordsman after exiting his party. Oren narrates that initially he used to be a swordsman in the Heroes Party. He had earned that position for himself and had great admiration for it. This is why he thought this was an excellent opportunity to pursue his own dreams now that he has left the party. They ask him why he was so passionate about swordsmanship as a kid. Oren recalls that it was from his grandfather's influence. Apparently, a monster had attacked their village once, and his ex-explorer grandfather took care of him with just one blow from the sword. Such a spectacle inspired him. Another question is thrown at Oren. If he loved being a swordsman so much, why did he agree to be an enchanter for the Heroes Party in the first place? Oren informs them that when his ex-party ventures into the lower dungeon floors, they realize the importance of having an enchanter in their party. This realization was also a result of Selma's evaluation. Since Oren was the jack of all trades, the responsibility naturally fell on him. His party was able to reach the 94th floor thanks to him, which is why he believed back then that it was right to convert. However, he now admits that converting was a wrong decision. He soon realizes that maybe he's being too harsh on himself. What no one really knows is that the Heroes Party would never be able to reach the 94th floor again. When asked what his ideal swordsman is like, Oren replied that he looks up to someone who could clear an entire deepest floor of the dungeon alone. Meanwhile, Sophia wonders if she should ask Oren to stay once the exploration is over. She admits that she would be really sad if they split apart. The day to pursue the guidance quest for the Night Sky Silver Rabbit, requested by Tengen clan, has finally arrived. Oren hopes that everything will go smoothly. He overhears someone's conversation that from now onwards, a new adventure party will dive deep. Oren wonders if they're talking about the party that's on his mind. It appears that the dungeon has 92 floors, and at the earliest, their squad would be able to reach the 3rd floor today. The purpose today seems to be the confirmation of the new party. So, in conclusion, Oren knows that he must move first. He wasn't expecting his ex-party to be so laid back after abandoning him. To be moving so fast with new members, it's almost as if Oren is being slapped right across the face. Firstly, there will be cooperation confirmation, which should be done in the lower tier where there is less risk. After overthinking the situation, Oren shakes it off after telling himself that it doesn't matter anymore. 2 days ago, at the Heroes Party's residence, they recruited a new member named Philly Carpenter. In the presence of Defender Derek and Magician Ansel, the Hero Party's leader, Sword Saint Oliver is introduced. He's an explorer whose outstanding abilities are widely known. It looks like Philly is an enchanter because Oliver is really proud of himself for adding her to the party. She quickly compares her skills of producing real buffs to Oren's shabby buffs. Suddenly, the conversation shifts to the ledger Oren was making. Philly is shocked by how expensive and luxurious food they have arranged for her. Derek comments that the amount of savings written in the ledger almost made his eyes pop out in amazement. He calls Oren a cheapskate for hiding this amount of money. According to him, money is meant to be spent. Oliver suddenly remembers that the management of the money was entrusted to Oren. He always knew there were savings, but never knew how much. Derek accuses Oren of wanting to use their money without their knowledge. He comments that it was a mistake for letting him manage their money and Oliver was right to kick him out. Philly points out that maybe Oren was saving for the party's activities. It seems like she's the only one with her brain cells intact. She lists down various important matters that require money, including expeditions and the mansion's rent. Soon, the party's healer Runa barges into the room and she seems to be panicking. When she sees Philly in the room, she stops mid-sentence. Oliver knows that judging by how panicked she is, it's probably about Oren. She's not informed about what happened to Oren. It appears that she has been told that the party is planning to expel Oren from the party, but she kept disagreeing with the idea. This is why Oliver expelled him when she was not around. Oliver assumes that she has feelings for him. He tells her to say whatever she wants to say in front of Philly. With an angry face, she asks him why Oren is going into the Great Dungeon with the Silver Rabbits of the Night Sky. She asks him how things have come to be like this. This causes laid-back Oliver to become speechless. Sweat rolls down his face as he imagines his old friend joining his rival party. It's only been 3 days since he was expelled. Oliver thinks that there is no way he has the guts or the skills to have joined such a popular party. The others shout in rage. They can't believe that Oren actually thinks he can perform like an S-rank. Runa commands them to tell her what happened when she was gone. Oliver tries to calm her down, but Ansel blurts out that he left the party. This stuns Runa, and she assumes that maybe Oren gave up on them. However, Derek soon steps in and corrects her. He yells that they are the ones who abandoned him by expelling him. Runa's anger becomes apparent when she realizes that a decision was taken despite her refusal. She announces that they are doomed to failure as the only pillar holding them together has left. Oliver doesn't understand why she holds Oron in such high regard. He tells her that regardless of what she feels, nothing can be done now. He announces that they will be doing party tryouts at the dungeon's 92nd floor. Runa proclaims that this would be suicide, and she doesn't believe that they can survive without Oron. This has started to get on Oliver's nerves. She demands them to hold tryouts at easier levels. Runa even ignores a greeting from Philly, who has joined the party as Oron's replacement. Clearly upset, Runa leaves the room. Philly becomes sad for not being able to get along with them, but it turns out she's putting up a facade and has ulterior motives. The next day, during the tryouts, Oliver realizes that Philly's buffs are disappearing a bit too quickly. The moment it disappears, their bodies become heavy. He recalls that this never happened with Oron. Back then, they could fight for hours on end. He assumes that maybe Philly is performing poorly because they made a sudden jump to the 92nd floor. He asks her to inform them of the beasts attacking from their blind spots, as enchanters can have a full view of the battlefield. Philly immediately refuses while shaking. She claims that using support magic alone has become too much for her, let alone being a navigator as well. Oliver starts sweating now that the situation has finally dawned on him. He looks at Ansel, who is casting her usual spells, but they seem to be too weak to leave even a scratch on the monsters. He starts cussing when he realizes that his own powers have weakened. However, no one seems to understand why this is happening. Only Runa is the calm one. Oliver asks her if she understands what's going on. She is annoyed by their ignorance. After beating around the bush to frustrate them a little, she is about to reveal the reason behind them getting weak, which is actually quite the obvious one. However, before she could do so, a noise erupts from above. Oliver looks up and the view sends shivers down his spine. Black scales and massive wings, the boss of the 92nd floor has appeared before them. The black dragon stares at them with the intent to kill, while every ounce of hope leaves Oliver's body. They can't clear the 92nd floor without Oron. It was a suicide mission after all. The black scales of the black dragon make it impossible for the magical and physical attacks to harm it. Its strong limbs can take down any ferocious creature. Its roars are famous for freezing even the souls of the mightiest explorers with terror. While flapping its wings to assert dominance, it slowly approaches Oliver's squad. Meanwhile, Oliver wonders what in the world a black dragon is doing here. Apparently, in the Great Southern Maze, bosses make their presence known every 10 levels up to level 90. Although the bosses of the floors are powerful, they can only act up to a certain area. There hasn't been any incident where a boss would act outside of its boundaries. The Black Dragon is the 92nd floor boss. It's an enemy they won against when Oron was still in the party. The location they are currently in is outside of the boss area, which is why Oliver is so shocked. The dragon only lands, but the impact of the landing is so strong that it generates strong shockwaves and sends Oliver's squad flying in the air like a bunch of flies. Derek receives immense damage and everyone starts pointing fingers at Philly for not casting a buff on them. Meanwhile, Philly blankly stares at them as if someone has frozen her. Oliver realizes that this is due to fear. He suddenly recalls that Oron would have been able to buff Derek without hesitation even at a time like this, so he doesn't understand why a superior enchanter like her is losing her calm. Runa snaps Oliver back to his senses by yelling his name. She reminds him that at present they don't have any chance of victory. She begs him to buy some time for them to withdraw. After seeing the fireball accumulating at the dragon's mouth, Oliver realizes that it will be bad if they get pursued here, so he doesn't really have a choice. He shakes Philly to bring her back to reality and asks her if she can still move. He commands her to give him a buff and he will deal some damage on his own. Philly does as she told, and Oliver increases all of her abilities. He's confident that he can handle this. Although it is an unexpected situation, he believes that it should work out. He wields his sword and claims that he will overcome this with a supernatural power. He casts a magic called Magic Convergence and his sword starts shining in gold. Runa explains that the magic humans and demons beasts use are different. Therefore, Oliver's supernatural power isn't something humans can possess. His supernatural power allows him to converge and gather magic all together. Though it might seem simple, the magical power accumulated to the limit creates an unparalleled destructive power. He uses his Heaven Slash and is confident that it will heavily damage the enemy. During the previous subjugations, he used his slash to sever the Black Dragon's wing, which robbed its flight capabilities. A black dragon that has lost its wings is slow-footed, so he assumed that it wouldn't be able to pursue them now. However, this time his slash wasn't even able to leave a scratch. The dragon swings his tail and smashes Oliver, the most renowned explorer, into the ground. Seeing the helpless state of their leader stuns each and every member of the hero's party. Covered in dirt and scars, Oliver admits that his heavenly slash isn't working against this black dragon. However, he refuses to admit that they are getting beaten one-sidedly to this extent. Runa calls him out again and asks him if he's alright. Normally, Oliver would list down countless strategies to turn the tables. However, this time, his eyes are wide open with fear and he asks Runa in a shaking voice what they should do now. Enraged, Runa reminds him that this is something he as a leader should decide. She tells him to get a grip on himself. She lowers her head and suggests that since they don't have much of a choice, they should just use the Capricus door. Apparently, the Capricus door forcibly connects the space of the places they have gone before to another. This allows them to move to another location instantaneously, though it's only viable in the dungeon. Therefore, the destination of the move is random and only between the boss areas. Runa reminds him that they will have to fight another floor boss immediately after moving, but it will be times better than the Black Dragon. Oliver immediately agrees and announces that he will use the Capricus door now, and once he uses it, there will be a distortion of space, so he commands everyone to jump in instantly. He opens the portal, and just when they are about to jump in, the Black Dragon swings his tail again. Their movement is restricted, and Oliver wonders how a Black Dragon could be this strong. The dragon charges at them, but suddenly gets teleported into the portal. Apparently, no one knew that a dragon could use the Capricus door as well. Although their lives are saved, someone else will have to deal with this nightmare, for which this party will be penalized. They run outside to save the others, but Runa convinces them to recruit Oren back because he was the reason behind their precious strength. Oren and his party have reached the 36th floor of the Great South Maze, and he's really glad to know that it's finally the last exploration day. Thank God they were able to reach it. Their goal for the day is to capture floors 36 to 50, after which they will use the transfer crystal to return back home. It looks like their journey is growing shorter, but it's unclear if they're excited about their return. This is when they're called to discuss their plan of action, and soon it's decided that the leaders will take care of the demonic beast that can't be defeated by the rookies, as in the past, while battles against the bosses will involve the whole team. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? However, Oren is feeling a particularly bad vibe from the maze this morning, and his gut feeling is usually never wrong if we look at some of his history. However, it's too soon to give up. Let's just try to be optimistic here, guys. Moreover, he doesn't even know if the bad vibe is because of the weird look on Logan's face, or if it has something to do with the creepy maze itself. But deciding that it's not important for now, he turns to Caroline, who is also in the 10th Squadron. It looks like he wants to offer some advice to her about playing more defensively, since he should be more aware and try to move carefully when she's fighting the monsters. Of course, he thinks she'll be able to help her teammates if she only moves to get the monsters' attention. However, Caroline surely doesn't agree with his advice since she doesn't want to make her teammates work harder, which is why she's happy to stay in the front line to fight. She has made up her mind to put all thoughts of cooperation aside for now and focus on the maze. This is when Oren mentions Albert, the ace of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, who is supposedly really important to Caroline, but he was also the one who lost his life in the battle against the Black Dragon, and it looks like the strength of the clan has decreased considerably without him, just like Mrs. Selma. Mentioning Albert was supposed to make Caroline a bit scared from the unknown fate. However, she's even more determined as she knows that the ace of her clan died protecting his comrades. She really believes that he had to die in order to keep his and his clan's legacy alive. Oren has understood that his word won't be having any effect on her after listening to her speech. Therefore, he gives up after telling her that he's counting on her, which makes Caroline smile. At this point, Caroline interrupts their conversation as she really needs Oren's advice on what exactly she needs to do to become stronger. He is aware that he needs to answer her questions within a reasonable range without hurting her feelings, or demotivating her, therefore he asks her to explain what sorcery is. Immediately, Sophia starts off by telling him that the premise of sorcery is to use the magic that exists in the air, and the power to use various phenomenon is called magic, which is something that only hexen beasts can use. Sorcery, on the other hand, is a magic-based technology, since it's possible to create magic power by using it through a formula. Humans who originally could not use magic can use it now because of this particular magical phenomena. Since Sophia knows all about this, Oren is quite impressed with the girl. However, he still wonders if asking her for more details would confuse her. He decides to ask her more about the procedure of magic, but the girl holds her ground well, and answers with such perfection that it leaves no doubt in the older boy's mind that this newcomer is too smart. Oren appreciates her intelligence, and promises to teach her the skills that she needs to take her abilities to the next level, as well as the necessary techniques. This obviously makes Sophia too happy and grateful, and so they continue their journey to the 40th floor of the maze. They continue their conversation about parallel construction, and it means exactly what it sounds like, since it's the art of building two or more formulas at the same time. Oren is sure to tell her that it is no exaggeration to say that advanced magicians need this skill. Sophia is a bit confused at this statement, as it sounds a bit too difficult for her, until Oren informs her that everyone can do two or more formulas at the same time once they get used to it. Of course, he mentions that Logan used to do it as well. Moreover, some people can build dozens of formulas at the same time, and this particular point just makes Sophia's brain go wild. She can't seem to understand why parallel construction is so important. This is how Oren begins to tell her about the 4 levels of offensive magic: beginner, intermediate, and advanced special. He surely thinks it's enough to be an advanced mage if she can use special grade magic. Telling her more about the lower levels, which are filled with demonic beasts that cannot be defeated in one hit, he mentions how parallel magic can help in such desperate situations. Sophia now completely understands how attractive this kind of magic sounds. Therefore, she promises to do her best to do it, which makes her new teacher proud. Of course, he still thinks that she should get some of the veteran members of the clan, or even Selma, to teach her, but obviously, she only wants Oren to be the one to give her these lessons. However, it's obvious that she feels like it will be a tad problematic for him. Oren agrees to teach her, as long as Selma gives her permission, as he is practically a stranger. But Sophia obviously has a soft spot for him, so it wouldn't hurt to ask. A few minutes later, they arrive at the boss area, where it's Oren's turn to shine. They join up with Selma at this level, and she orders them to move according to their role only. The leaders tell Orn to take over, and he seems happy about it. He promises to do his best so everyone can focus on the battle, and informs them that he will only take 2 minutes, which makes the leaders laugh at his optimism. He tells Sophia to hide. Therefore, she watches the leaders fight from a distance. She has definitely never seen something like this before, since it's so different from their kind of fighting. She watches 2 of the defenders attack while drawing the giant's attention, while Orn attacks a blind spot, and they attack the lower part of the giant boss monster. Selma and Cassie are also getting strong as they attack the upper body with magic, and it's obvious that the team isn't here to waste any time, even though they're all working together for the first time ever. She really wishes that she can be like them when the battle finally ends, and the whole team thanks Orn for his tremendous support. Orn has an instantaneous ability increase, which makes the performance and durability of his equipment and the power of his magic go up 100 times. They cut the scissors, which only leaves the shell to be cracked. Therefore, everyone waits until Selma gives them the signal. Selma tells everyone to go, and they all start attacking. They end up defeating the boss monster in the blink of an eye. They have finally conquered level 50, which makes Orn's mission almost complete. The atmosphere in the clan is great after this amazing victory, and it looks like everything will end without any incidents. Of course, they have started celebrating too soon, since a giant black dragon shows up to ruin their fun at this point. Orn's fears have come true in the worst possible way, as he stands with Sophia while the black dragon stands in front of them like a terrifying beast. The jet black dragon has been transferred by the heroic group after their blunder, since this beast is definitely not supposed to have appeared in this level. The monster is a tyrant that unilaterally attacks the explorers in the depths to surely give them a black and fiery death. The entire clan is shocked by the appearance of the beast, but they have no idea how exactly it got here. Suddenly, none of them can move out of fear, which makes Selma realize that they might end up dying if they do nothing. Orn's reaction comes faster than her though, as he immediately tells the leaders to bring in the new recruits and protect them to the death. His experience of the ordeal he just went through has given him a boost, and this motivates Selma to tell his clan to stay strong. They put the magic barriers in front of the defenders, and they get ready by taking a defensive stance. Their shields are against the Black Dragon's attack, and it's obvious that there's a lot of pressure on them since the entire group is counting on them. Of course, they instantly know that they will end up dying when the Black Dragon spits out its fireball, while Orn's instantaneous skill makes the magic barrier's effectiveness increase in an instant. Orn is glad to see everyone alive after the fireball attack ends, but he is still confused about why there's a black dragon in the middle level when it's supposed to be at level 94. Plus, this place is definitely not big enough for a big demonic beast from the deep level, which makes it obvious that there's something terribly wrong. Who could even be behind this, or has the entire system just gotten messed up? Putting this aside though, he has to come up with something to help him overcome and survive this problem. The path to level 51 is also ready, and they are already at the transmigration crystal after defeating the boss of this level. This makes his brain light up with an idea, as he now knows that they can escape if they just get to the crystal. He is the only one who can move properly, however, which means that he will have to leave the clan behind if he wants to survive. Since demonic beasts have a habit of heading for places where there are many people, it's obvious that it will head to his group soon. This means that he has no choice but to fight the dragon, as he clearly doesn't want to be the only one who comes out of this alive. His job now is to guide all new explorers to level 51. Therefore, he has decided to fight. He immediately attacks the black dragon, and throws the spare sword at his eyes until he attacks from the air, and uses a momentary increase in skill to hit once again. Selma looks for any signs of defeat for the dragon, but is disappointed when the dragon shows up again without a scratch. This makes Orn realize that the beast can't be defeated like this, therefore he asks the leaders to protect the rookies while he deals with the black dragon. He is confident that he has a chance to win, so he draws the black dragon's attention away from everyone. When the beast is paying attention to him, Orn uses a reflective barrier to reflect the dragon's attack back to him, which leaves his entire audience's mouths wide open, since they had no idea about the existence of such magic. Furthermore, Orn increases all of his skills, which builds all the basic types of support magic in parallel, and activates them simultaneously. Its difficulty is definitely high, and this makes Selma wonder if she should provide her support to him when the bud disappears since his magic is weak. She gets shocked when Orn still holds up his magic and increases it multiple times, as she has never heard of such a thing before. This is quite scary to her, as she can't even guess how much combat power he has now. Orn gets near the dragon in the blink of an eye, while the clan members look in awe, and it's clearly not enough to say that his physical abilities have increased unimaginably. However, this magic has its disadvantages as well, as it doesn't have any effect on anyone other than Orn, and it can only be used in short-term battles, because it involves parallel construction of up to 30 techniques. Orn's carrying a lot of this magical burden, and it's evident that he has exhausted himself, which finally makes him realize that he needs to end this battle quickly, unless he wants to end up dying. Orn doesn't remember exactly when it happened, but when he and Oliver were a pair of kids, they had the bad luck of finding their entire town murdered by a bunch of thieves while they were training. Their first reaction was to cry, until they made the decision to be so strong that they will never let anyone take anything from them again. Whatever the circumstances, they had promised to be strong enough to protect anything important to them. Orn remembers this promise while he is facing off against the Black Dragon, and he knows that the world was unreasonable at that time, but that incident led him to become an explorer and to find his power and knowledge. He needs to reject all his limitations to protect everyone, and this is his only focus. He tells himself that it's not difficult, since he just has to defeat the enemy in front of him, while Selma can't believe that he actually wants her to let him defeat the Black Dragon all by himself. But she also knows that it must have been really hard for Orn to build this formula to increase his skills. Therefore, all she can do is to protect the rookies and let him concentrate, since there clearly is a considerable burden on him. Suddenly, the dragon starts coming for him when he is in the air and unprotected. It's certainly a nice move, but Orn is one step ahead of the beast. He quickly uses his magic to do a quick scaffold in the air, and finally comes back on the ground with the dragon under his feet. The entire clan has never witnessed such an extraordinary display, which makes Selma realize that Orn's ability can only be used by him and Oliver, as this is how they gather magic and materialize it. Oliver obviously uses it as a method of attack since it has a wide range of uses and is inherently a very attractive supernatural ability. They have just witnessed Orn unleash its magical power, as it can be used for aerial movement, which helped him overpower the Black Dragon. Orn continues to increase his sharpness and durability, and lands some more scars on the dragon's tough scales while the crowd cheers for him. This is when Selma notices a weird expression on Orn's face, until an explosion goes off and nobody can see anything for a while. When the smoke clears up, Sophia is glad to see that Orn dodged the dragon's attack, but it looks like things are going to get more problematic for them. The dragon still stands tall, and apparently it has shapeshifted the mist and turned it into a weapon, and it's clear that nobody has ever heard of such an attack. Orn has also made some sense of the dragon's trick, as it's magic that harnesses the magic from its surroundings called the Convergence of Forces. The Black Dragon's main attack might be a quick strike with a fireball or its tail, however, those are not the only attacks it can do. The real threat for Orn is the purple mist, which sometimes changes shape like a whip, sometimes like a spear, allowing it to attack in all directions. This has made him realize that the Black Dragon is still not fighting seriously, and this has clearly made him quite angry with the monster. It's time for Orn to use a fireball of his own, while he quickly moves closer to the dragon while avoiding the mist. Suddenly, the dragon increases its attack speed, which makes it hard for Orn to dodge, and he puts a mud wall between them since he has realized that he needs to keep some distance between them. A few minutes later, Orn's confidence takes a downfall when he realizes that his mud wall hasn't worked. The clan also knows that it's indeed a terrible battle, while Selma is also looking quite nervous since the dragon clearly doesn't have any decisive moves. On the other hand, Orn is thinking about the last time he fought the dragon with the Heroes group, when Derek and Luna took care of the mist while Oliver and Inari took care of their firepower. It certainly wasn't the firepower that killed the beast, which makes him wonder if he can do the same thing, as he is the only one who can do it. He reminds himself of the promise he made when he was a kid, while repeating that he needs to believe in himself to beat the Black Dragon. Of course, Selma is also trying to decode the battle, as she is well aware by now that the Black Dragon's attacks are impossible to defend against. Orn pushes the Black Dragon away from attacking them, which is kind of him, while he also dodges all the attacks, which are the moves of an evasive defender. She never knew that something like this could be done against the Black Dragon, and it sounds like she's impressed once again. Orn has also decided to evade the attack even though Derek isn't with him this time, and clearly won't need the healer role that Moon used to play if he doesn't get hit by the opponent. He continues to think about Oliver, Inari, and the rest of the Heroes gang while running towards the dragon, and finally hits him without causing much damage to the beast. Of course, Orn doesn't want to land any damage yet, as he only wants to bring the beast's attention back to him. Orn sets a spell around him, and asks if the Black Dragon has ever seen so many spells in his life, as he has decided to hit the monster with multiple spells at once. His magical attack doesn't do much damage either, as expected, which is why Orn is already prepared with another move. He starts the amplification chain, while Selma points out that the magic attacks are being enhanced. She knows that the amplification chain is when magic attacks go through the plays where the spell is set, and it absorbs the surrounding magic power, which triggers the same offensive magic with amplified power. This is also one of Orn's original magic spells that he uses in combination with magic convergence. Meanwhile, Orn has made the decision to overcome Anelli's offensive magic, which changes the color of the sword as well. Unlike Oliver's golden sword, this one is jet black, and Orn is holding it like the hero that he evidently looks like. He challenges the beast to resume the battle, while the entire clan watches him play the role of all the members of the Heroes group on his own. And it's crystal clear to everyone that this man will not back down until the dead body of the Black Dragon is in his hands. One heavenly flash later, Orn is confident that the Black Dragon's wings will surely be destroyed because of the sudden collision with the beast. He really hopes that this attack must have greatly reduced its mobility. One thing that is really making Orn overthink is how did the dragon know the target of his attack when it's the first time this particular monster has seen a heavenly flash? He really needs to put some more thought in his next move. Of course, Orn doesn't know that the Black Dragon had already been hit by Oliver's heavenly flash before appearing on this level, which means that the monster clearly knows the purpose of the attack and the power it generates, and this information helped him to protect his own lifeline, his wings, and the majestic tail. Orn is now surrounded by a lot of mist, which is the dragon's common attack, and he's taken aback for a second. He regains his composure soon and determines that since the dragon is not fooling around, this has really become a serious fight from now on. He generates his magic convergence once more, since he has realized that he doesn't have much time as the magic support will disappear soon. However, seeing his desperate situation, Selma tries to offer some support magic to help him out before he can attack the dragon with even more useless tricks. Obviously, the mighty magician Orn doesn't want any support magic, as he doesn't want his magic convergence to be interrupted. Therefore, he tells Selma to not even think about helping him out. Better yet, he would actually prefer if Selma would just stop paying attention to him, since he only wants the clan to protect themselves for now. Selma works it out that their brave defender's ability might be enough for the fight, and since he really doesn't want any support, she announces that she will leave the black dragon to him only while she prepares to cheer for him. Go team, guys! The clan can't see much from where they're standing, but it's clear to them that Orn is still going to fight. He surely doesn't back down easily, right? Selma couldn't believe that she's actually witnessing a battle like this, until Sophia tells her not to worry about Orn as he is quite brilliant, plus he's really just become their hero. The black dragon is still at large, until Orn manages to knock him to the ground with a self-inflicted wound, which might mean that the monster's condition is not perfect for now. However, the black dragon still has his mist that he uses again to catch his opponent off guard, and it's unbelievable that the beast has so much power. This is when Orn finally decides to use the magic sword creation, which makes his team think that there's a black lump coming from under his feet. He attacks with the magic sword, while the entire clan starts feeling an uncomfortable pressure, and they really don't see an end to this fight. Before they can lose hope though, Selma spots the jet black sword in his hand, and this makes the rest of her team notice it as well. They can't believe that the sword was created in this maze only, and they can feel that the atmosphere is clearly different from the swords he has used so far. It looks like the magic itself has condensed around the sword, which is revealed to be a cube weapon that combines magic support and magic convergence to create improvised weapons by hardening the ground around it. It is not crystal clear to everyone that Orn has power that far exceeds that of special class magic. However, Selma's thoughts are interrupted by yet another attack from the black dragon's side. Orn is aware that the black dragon's attack is terrifying, but he doesn't think that he can afford it anymore, which is why he decides to take a serious action. He uses the reflective barrier once again and jumps to dodge the beast's attack while using the barriers to charge at his opponent from above. Using the self-weight increase, Orn throws himself at the dragon while screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's obvious that he has put his entire energy into this attack. Selma gets a bit scared by this attack at first as well, but soon starts wondering if Orn is okay or if the black dragon is finally defeated. She slowly opens her eyes and sees the beast's dead body lying on the ground before spotting Orn, who is still holding his black sword with a pained expression on his face. Sophia instantly cries out when Orn looks back at the clan, and suddenly they all rush towards him to make sure that he's okay. We are taken to the Explorers Guild shortly before Orn confronts the Black Dragon, since it's the third day of the quest and there's an emergency situation in the entire building. Luna runs inside to tell the people in charge to call the guild leader since their matter is quite time sensitive and the clock is ticking. She reveals that they are a team of heroes, or rather the Golden Dawn, as this is the official name of the team since it was decided by Orn and Oliver about 9 years ago. Her requests are interrupted by Eleonora, an employee of the Explorers Guild, who asks her team to follow her to the conference room for the time being, while the other staff members will keep trying to get in touch with their guild leader. A few minutes later, they are sitting comfortably in the conference room with the guild leader Leon. The team of heroes is quite sorry about disturbing Leon and his executives, but they have clearly come here to ask for an urgent favor, which confuses the guild leader a tiny bit. Luna begins explaining that they need all of the explorers of the Great Labyrinth and make them return through the deportation portal. Her request is a bit unconventional for Leon, which might be intimidating for Luna as she is the one handling the negotiations, instead of Oliver, who's been quiet for the last few hours. He really can't be much of a help to their team in this meeting, and this makes Luna miss Orn, who always used to handle these sorts of things. At this point, Leon speaks up, telling them that he needs a good reason to act on their request, since deportation magic is a spell that involves many people. Luna is obviously aware that it's a bit hasty, which is why she decides to tell their story to the executives briefly, but she still promises to tell the entire team that they are done with this. All she needs is for these high-level people to be patient with her for now. She reveals that the reason of applying for deportation at this time is because there is an extremely high possibility that the Black Dragon, who is supposed to be the floor boss on the 92nd level, has moved to the upper, middle, or lower boss area. She's not exactly sure about which level it is though. Leon is alarmed by this information, while Luna directs his attention to the possibility of someone dying if they run into the Black Dragon, and it's clear that they won't even get a chance to defend themselves against such a beast. Moreover, she suggests that they need to take the task of confronting the Black Dragon after deporting the explorers. Of course, deporting them is the first priority, since it's a matter of human life here. Leon thinks for a second, but agrees that it's an emergency if Luna's story is actually true, which is why he promises to ask for more details later. He turns to the rest of the executives, announcing that he would like to vote for the request to be done. Of course, if the upper management has any questions, they can try to resolve their issues as well. Luna is aware that the truth of this information is uncertain to everyone in the guild, but she has no idea to what extent they will believe her, which is why she is prepared for some trouble. Fortunately, there seems to be no one in the conference room to oppose their request. Therefore, Leon decides to act on the team of heroes' request. This news comes as a huge relief to poor Luna, and she is sure that Ornn is the one who gave them the power of speech, which makes her entire team indebted to him. This is when she tells Leon that she would like to make a request regarding deportation, asking if it's possible to move the people from levels 45 to 50 to the square near the Great Maze. It's obvious that they know about Ornn scouting the area, and they would really like to join him. Thankfully, Leon is not opposed to this request as well, and moves on to proceed with the deportation. Leon orders his executives to inject magic power, while Luna is praying to Ornn so he can lend some of his magic strength to them. She really wants him to tell them what happened, so their team members can apologize and they can all go back to the way they were before. The guild executives are soon done with the deportation process, which is why Leon tells the team of heroes to kill the Black Dragon while they stay back to support the explorers disoriented by the sudden deportation. They hope to win together in this mission for sure. Before Luna can convince her team to go and look for Ornn, Derek interrupts her speech as he really doesn't think that they need a weakling like him. Apparently, they were talking on their way to the guild, and it's clear that Derek doesn't believe that the magic Luna talked about is even true. Annalie also supports Derek, as she believes that they lost only because the Black Dragon took them by surprise. Luna can't believe that his team members are still complaining at this point, and it seems like they're quite blind to the reality of the situation they're in. She resolves to give them a final reality check by mentioning that they are the weakest among the S-rank teams currently, and it's obvious that a team like this can never beat the Black Dragon. Derek is still not ready to listen to her since he is arrogant about the strength of his team, which makes Luna insult him for the first time since they were only able to achieve everything because of Ornn. Derek and Anelli would have been A ranks if it wasn't for Ornn's support, so it's only logical for Luna to put them in their place. Derek is furious at her statements. Therefore, he challenges her to a fight by running straight at her with his sword, after Luna tells him that she would definitely beat him in a one-on-one fight. Before his sword can hit Luna though, he finds that he is completely unable to move, while she looks at him with an expression that screams disappointment. It looks like the fight will escalate until Oliver jumps in, telling both of them to cut it out. He wants his team to find Ornn first, as they can only make a decision about what to do next when he is with them. Derek is obviously too much of a weakling to argue with him. Therefore, he agrees, while Luna is a bit irritated at Oliver for talking so late. A few minutes later, they reach the entrance of the Great South Maze, when they spot the dead body of the Black Dragon, which gives them the shock of their lives. Their first thought is that something is wrong, since there are too many people around. Hence, they make the decision to not let their guards down while they approach the Black Dragon. The whole crowd clears their way for them after recognizing them, but they don't look too happy after confirming that the dragon is indeed dead. At this point, they spot Ornn with his sword a little further from their location, and he instantly tells them that they have come to the right place at the right time. Luna figures that the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky clan must have defeated the dragon, until she sees that Ornn is the only one who is wounded to the bone. Ornn looks too tired to talk, and turns to leave after handing something to Luna so it can be processed. Luna is amazed that Ornn has managed to defeat the Black Dragon when her team couldn't even compete with her, and it looks like Oliver is a bit furious about this fact as he steps in front of Ornn with an expression that literally means death. Of course, Oliver lets him go without even saying a word to him, and the nighttime comes soon enough. Sophia is sitting down writing about her day in the journal as it has been a really tremendous day for her. She believes that Ornn is too much for her as she has been rescued by him again, and makes her daydream about how he always has such a kind face. He has just become the coolest person she knows, and it's making her blush somehow. Later, Selma arrives home with her hair all over the place, and it's clear that she is too tired to even stand. She instantly falls on the bed to sleep without even taking a bath. Therefore, Sophia suggests that they should bathe together. The two of them sit in the bath, and Sophia is really glad that her sister is finally starting to look better. However, something is obviously bothering her. Therefore, she asks her little sister about her thoughts regarding the battle between Ornn and the Black Dragon, since the rest of the rookies didn't get it, but she is quite curious to see what exactly Sophia has found out regarding this particular fight. Sophia begins telling her eldest sister that Ornn's way of fighting and his movements were completely inhuman, and he even used magic that she has never seen before. Other than this, she believes that it was just a basic fight. Elaborating a bit more, she reveals that she was taught the same basic behaviors of each role that were used by Ornn, which makes Selma also realize that literally one person was responsible for the actions of all the party members. Sophia has decided that she wants to be as cool as Ornn, while Selma replays the battle where she clearly witnessed otherworldly strength from Ornn's side. It made her feel like she was in a realm far beyond her comprehension, but Sophia obviously only interpreted what she saw in her own way based on her knowledge. She also hopes to be an explorer who can measure up to him one day, but she's unsure if such a day would ever come. Her goal is too far away, which makes her a bit sad, and she instantly hugs her little sister. Sophia also admires her sister a lot, as she showed her a way different from the one their parents had planned. They have always looked out for each other, which makes Sophia promise that her sister can always count on her whenever she can be useful enough to be of help. At this point, Selma asks her if she can sleep in a bed with her little sister after a long time, and is grateful when Sophia agrees. It looks like their sister bonding time is going great. The morning arrives and Oren is still in bed while he cries out in pain. His muscles are so sore from the previous day's battle, but it's still fortunate that he is not suffering from any lasting effects after using such poor magic. Perhaps this is also a magical mistake? He had returned home on his own after coming out of the maze, even though he is sorry for everyone in the clan, but he wonders what happened after he left. He is curious, but it might be too rude to go there so suddenly. Therefore, he decides against taking any action right away. For the time being, he's going to go to the Explorers Guild and find out more about what happened after he left. Soon, he's sitting in the conference room with Leon, the team of heroes, and the rest of the executives, and it looks like they also want to know about what happened in the maze. He reveals that he only fought with the Black Dragon, which makes Leon turn to Luna, who informs everyone that the matter of the Black Dragon's dead body was resolved quickly with the help of the guild. Turning back to the real hero of the hour, Leon asks if Oren killed the Black Dragon alone, as this is what Selma told him, but the hero stays silent for a second. He really can't believe that these people can be so stupid, but he replies that he really did defeat the monster without any help. Moreover, he tells them about the new attack patterns that he learned during the battle, and how it compared to their last fight. But before he can say anything else, Derek interrupts to boast that Oren was lucky to take down the beast after he was left vulnerable from Oliver and Anelli's attacks. Oren tells him to shut up right away, which makes him even more furious. Our hero clearly doesn't care about Derek's stupid words. Therefore, he turns to Oliver and asks why exactly he did a dive so soon with a newly hired charmer, and he thinks that his old friend made a wrong and arrogant decision. Surprisingly, Oliver tells him that he's right, which makes Oren mention that their team nearly died many times when they were into the depths in the past together. This comment makes Oliver scream out that this is exactly why he changed their charmer. Oren mentions that he's not mad about being kicked out, but he's only angry about them disrespecting the enchanter. However, he really thinks that Oliver and his team wanted the rookies to be on the same level as him from the start, even though it takes a lot of nerves for the enchantress while exploring the labyrinth. He is furious at Oliver for having these unrealistic expectations, as he doesn't see how a party can fall apart when a B-ranked team even knows about these particulars. Plus, Oliver just gives orders from a safe distance, right? But it looks like his old friend is not in a mood to understand anything, as he clearly believes that anyone who knows how to use support magic can do it. He is too stubborn about it, which makes Oren list down their team's seconds as he mentions that it's time for them to wear off. During this conversation, he also gives them a quick refresher about how a bestowing enchanter casts an average of 3 buffs on an ally during a fight. Plus, the timing of when the magic activates is not always the same either. The atmosphere is getting tense, folks. He suggests that he will keep track of all of these durations, update the buffs, and make sure that they have the right one for them. Moreover, Oliver will also have to play the role of command center, which will allow him to give instructions to the group. But it seems like Oliver might not be completely on board with this idea. However, Oren goes ahead and asks if his old teammates are ready to do this. Selma visits Oren at the inn and asks him about his health. She apologizes for coming unannounced, but being the gentleman that he is, Oren apologizes to her in response by saying that he was just on his way to meet her, but because of him, she had to come all the way here during busy times. Meanwhile, Oren still can't wrap his head around the fact that Selma actually came to visit him at the inn. He feels proud of himself for quickly returning from the guild. He asks her if this time she is here to settle the matter of reward. However, it seems that the reward isn't the only reason why Selma is here. She gets up from her seat and bows her head. She thanks him for everything that he did yesterday. Putting her ego as the world's best enchanter aside, she genuinely thanks him, and admits that owing to his skills, they were able to complete the quest without losing a single person. This gesture only made Oren more awkward, and he requests Selma to raise her hand. As if things weren't unbelievable enough, Oren finds it hard to comprehend that a powerful clan leader just bowed her head to him. But this goes beyond ranks and honor. Oren has saved the lives of her clan's future recruits, including her. Therefore, regardless of her position, she is willing to express her sincere gratitude. Oren just stares at her in surprise, silently. He thinks to himself that despite the fame, Selma is an honest person. He thanks her for her honesty and kind words. Selma too looks relieved now that she has gotten this off her chest. While finishing her cup of tea, she jumps straight to the point and asks him if he has time to head over to the headquarters because their chief is really looking forward to seeing him. She promises to continue the conversation at the clan's headquarters. The duo arrive at the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky HQ and sit in the chief's company. Knowing how big of an achievement Oren helped them make, Vince quickly bows his head and thanks him for saving the lives of their members. Oren emphasizes that since he has accepted the initiative of his own, it was his job to do so. He has started to become uncomfortable considering how everyone is just refusing to look him in the eyes. He is not used to getting this royal treatment. Vince reminds him that it was not his job, and in that situation, no one would have blamed him if he had decided to run away. Vince smiles while recalling that Oren didn't run away and stood up to it and defeated it. Selma adds that they just can't take a heroic act like that for granted. Instead of ignoring it like it was nothing, they ask Orin to be proud of it. After that, Vince presents this reward and asks him to take it. Placed before him, sparkling intensely, are 10 platinum coins. 1 platinum coin is worth 10 gold coins. What Orin just received is equivalent to 100 gold coins. Thinking that this must have been a mistake, Orin looks up at Vince and reminds him that his reward was supposed to be 10 gold coins. Vince states that since he saved the group from the Black Dragon, 10 gold coins would have been too cheap. He requests Orin to take it without any hesitation. Orin thanks him for everything, accepts his reward, and gets up to leave. Vince quickly stops him and tells him that there is one more thing he wants to talk about. In all seriousness, he asks Orin if he would be willing to join the clan, Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. Orin probably had already seen this coming, and he sits silently for a moment while getting his thoughts together. The head of the clan himself is trying to recruit him. This must mean that they are serious about this. Vince adds that if he joins the clan, he'll be welcomed as an explorer and will belong to the first unit. Selma leads the strongest team in their clan, so Vince wants him to play as a vanguard attacker. This proposition catches Orin off guard, and he stands frozen in his place. He likes the sound of that. It makes him think that maybe taking down the Black Dragon was actually useful. However, there's more to it. Vince doesn't just stop there, but adds that he can also consider recommending him for the executive position. Realizing that this is getting out of hand, Orin finally speaks up and says that he's too young to take on a dignified position such as an executive manager. Selma stresses that there is nothing to worry about as their executive management is supposed to be chosen by each department. For the exploration department, it is good enough to have a background in maze exploration and the ability to be considered a good explorer. Vince proudly says that, on top of that, Orin is also polite, diligent, and hardworking, so he would be perfect for the leadership of their clan. Orin just keeps melting in his seat after awkwardly receiving the bombardment of compliments. Selma states that she is the only executive of the exploration division, so it's hard to manage. She states that she would be happy if she could support the clan together with him. The vanguard attacker of the first unit and an executive position? Orin smiles contently while admitting to himself how could he not be happy after hearing this offer. However, the dark flashbacks of the past when he brutally got abandoned remind him that he doesn't need a partner again. Before Orin could say anything, Vince explains that his answer doesn't have to be immediate. Despite the short notice, they would like it if he bothers to give it some time to think about it. Orin finds himself at his grandfather's store again, thinking about the choice he has to make. He asks the old man for advice, and the latter states the obvious. The clan might use him, and when they don't need him anymore, they might throw him away, reigniting his previous trauma. Orin admits that when he got kicked off the heroes team, he knew it in his head that it was not his fault for being useful. However, even though he wants to proceed further alone, there is a part of him that wants to join the clan. He admits that although a lot of things have happened, he had a lot of fun during the 3 days with the clan members. The grandfather finally decides to shed some words of wisdom and states that this society is based on mutually beneficial relationships. People can't live alone, and everyone relies on someone's support. Sometimes you're supporting other people without even knowing it. The same goes for their relationship. The old man adds that getting used simply means making up for each other's missing parts. He reminds Orin that he isn't the only one who has something to offer. If he joins the clan, he can also count on the clan's help. The only reason he might help the clan conquer the Great Labyrinth is because the clan provides him with all kinds of support. In the end, whatever decision he makes, he knows that it will come with regrets, so it's best to make a decision that will make some sense to him. While returning from the store, Orin admits that the thought of having regrets in the future scares him. He runs into Sophia and asks her if she's sure she's safe here at this hour. She responds that it's okay since this place isn't far from headquarters. She claims that this is the place where she hangs out to clear her mind. Suddenly, she remembers what she wanted to say to him and bows her head. Orin already knows what's coming. She thanks him for helping them out yesterday and back when they were attacked by the orcs. She promises to repay him whenever she gets the chance. Trying to change the topic, Orin asks her if she likes the moon. She responds that she's been obsessed with it ever since she was a little girl, because even in the dark, it shines with the same intensity. She informs him that the origin of their clan name is to be a beacon for explorers, just like the moon is a beacon of the night. Orin remembers that a long time ago he had the same conversation with someone about the moon being a lighthouse. However, the memory is too blurry. Sophia says that her world changed when she joined the clan. She still doesn't know anything about the future, but she has a feeling that if she stays in the clan, she will surely find something she is destined for. Sophia struggles to explain what she wants to say, but eventually Orin helps her out. He knows that the environment influences a person's values a lot. In a place where there are a lot of people, experience is accumulated and a person feels like their world has changed. He asks her what kind of place this clan is for her, and she instantly responds that it's like a home for her and taught her how to smile. It looks like this response strikes Orin right through his heart. Sophia reads his expression and asks him why he asked this question. However, she could have never expected the response she was about to receive. Orin smiles and says that he just wanted to get an idea of what his future home is going to look like. He drops her at the headquarters and goes straight to Vince to announce that he has decided to accept his invitation. It looks like Vince and Selma were already prepared for this moment because she soon comes rushing into the room congratulating Orn for joining the team, while holding the uniform that she prepared for him. And thus begins Orn's journey as a member of the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. South Continental Explorers Guild leader Leon Conti speaks to his mysterious Grandmaster and informs him that 3 days ago, under his jurisdiction, a single explorer managed to defeat a boss from the depths. Shocked at first, the Grandmaster slowly starts to smirk, while claiming that this will help them advance south. However, he knows that to go up against a deep-level plant boss alone is a lot of recklessness. Leon confirms the information that the Black Dragon, a level 92 plant boss, was active outside of the boss zone. It appears to have been an impromptu action in response to the unexpected situation. The reason behind the dragon's activity is unknown, but they are assuming that Falling of the West might have had an impact. Leon promises to keep updating him by continuing their analysis. The Grandmaster asks him who was the person who defeated the dragon. The first person in his mind is Oliver, but when Leon informs him that Oliver didn't even seem to have a chance this time, he starts to ponder. Eventually, he starts suspecting that Orn did it, and Leon seems surprised that the Master knows Orn. He thinks that even if Orn is in a position to wield that much power, there is no way he would have chosen to take on a deep floor boss. He asks Leon if he has noticed something unusual about Orn and what is his attitude towards the guild. Leon replies that no specific report has reached him so far, and his attitude is normal with no anomalies on the report of the Black Dragon's defeat. The Grandmaster finds this information to be very useful, and demands that from now on, if anything happens to Orn, he should be informed immediately. He smiles in anticipation while admitting that he wants to see how strong Orn can get. He starts laughing maniacally while proclaiming that this true ambition is never to allow Orn to wake up from his dreams. Meanwhile, in the Great Eastern Labyrinth, Floor 95, an out-of-country party is slaying armies mercilessly. The party includes Agnes, who is the attacker, Gibeah, who is the defender, and Azriel, who is the support hand of Shion, the universal hand. They ask Shion to strategize their next move. She comments that since they will not be seeing any major explorers from the town they are in anytime soon, they should get out of here. After butchering so many men casually, the group decides to go up to the surface and wait for the next request. It appears that one of the explorers is still alive, and he's hiding behind a rock. Instead of letting the group leave and saving his own skin, the man decides to jump out while claiming that he will not let the party leave. However, the party is not surprised, and everyone has a blank expression. He cusses at them for killing all of his friends and for being brutal butchers. Shion, who seems to be the leader, has a hood over her face. She calmly tells him that for them, it was no different than dealing with a monster, and his friends only died because they happened to be weak. Without any emotion in her tone, she reminds him that if it was too much for him and his friends, they shouldn't have come to the Great Labyrinth in the first place. The man finally snaps, pulls out a potion, and promises to kill them all by himself. He chugs down the entire bottle, and Gibeah comments that the pungent smell of the liquid is a warning sign for them. The man turns into a full-blown monster, while claiming that he is about to unleash his resentment and his wrath. His entire body is covered with something like a magical barrier. The squad wonders if it's an independently developed drug. Azriel admits that this is problematic. Without wasting any second, the monstrous figure lunges at them, and Shion states that by refusing to listen, he really has left her no choice. She takes off her hood and draws her magical sword. She apologizes to the monster in front of her, who is only inches away from killing them all. The man swings his fist and realizes that his entire body is now frozen. However, he is still conscious. He watches as his body parts refuse to move at his command, and he wonders which place he is teleported to. The entire place turns into an icy ground, as Shion watches her magic successfully killing her foe. She turns out and finally displays her face fully for the first time. Finally, the girl from Orn's childhood memories has arrived. Azriel compliments her for giving their annoying enemy an instant death. She ignores him while stating that this completes their mission and they are free to go. Gibeah asks her how she was able to activate such a large spell in an instant. He remarks that even though the enemy was trying to boost his magic resistance, it was still not enough against her. Agnes thanks God that Shion is on their side. Shion takes a deep breath and looks at the bushes behind them. She commands that whoever's hiding in there should come out now that things have quieted down. Everyone compliments her again for being so observant. It appears to be their informant, who announces that a lone explorer has managed to defeat the boss of the Deep South Floor, Black Dragon. Therefore, if any person comes into contact with this dragon hunter, they are commanded to kill it at first sight. Shion frowns while wondering how there could be such a powerful individual in the South. The informant also reveals that the person in question might be working of the order that they are currently against. Therefore, it can't be Oliver. The last order that is disclosed is that the party is requested to try their best to convert this mysterious lone explorer to their side. However, Shion is against this decision. She believes that if he has already sided with the Order, there is no option then to execute him. Now that they have their next request, they decide to enter the Great Labyrinth and start at first level and then go up. While starting their journey, Cheyenne has a serious expression on her face. She wants to meet this powerful person, especially now that the West and South are to be overrun in no time. She mentions that someone really close to her died and she promised to continue his legacy. And as expected, a flashback shows her and Orin making a pinky promise. She calls him the person she loved the most while claiming that her feelings for him are still present and will never fade away. She promises to take his revenge by killing the Grand Master of the Order, who apparently sent Orin to his death. This is why if the so-called Dragon Hunter is the Order's ally, then he must be eliminated. Little does she know that the alleged Dragon Hunter is none other than the love of her life. Meanwhile, at the Silver Knights headquarters, Orin is getting the royal treatment. He can't help but notice how everyone is staring at him. Selma laughs and teases the fact that he is currently the most talked about celebrity in town right now. Orin doesn't hate the way things are though. He admits that it's pretty much better than the way everyone looked at him when he was kicked out of the heroes' party. He runs into one of the members of the first unit and realizes that although the entire squad knows each other, he still hasn't bothered to interact with his new team. The man compliments him for having such a cool new nickname. As expected, he has become famously known as a Dragon Hunter, even by his own clan. In the conference room, an executive meeting is held and Orin is introduced by Vince. He boasts Orin's fighting style, an ocean of knowledge that is not found in their clan. He announces in front of everyone that he would like to place him in the executive branch. When he is questioned if he is willing to lay his life on the line for the clan, Orin refuses, surprising everyone, but then corrects them that it's not the clan that he cares about, but its members. After getting accepted into the branch, he is introduced to the first unit. But before that, Stella from the research department requests him to train some of the newbies. After that, he's introduced to Rain, a magic sorceress, Luceria, a healing mage, and Wilkes, a defender. Orin has met Wilkes quite a few times and knows that he is attentive and reliable. Now that Orin will be a front attacker here, he knows that he will have to work hard. Even Selma, whom everybody knows, gives her introduction as the leader of the clan and an enchanter. She is known for her activation speed and her power. Not just that, but she is also one of the best scouts on the continent. These four are now Orin's new companions. Orin introduces himself as a 19-year-old Vanguard attacker. Apparently, he's the same age as Luceria. Everyone asks him to drop the honorifics because this way the conversations will be shorter. They ask him how he defeated the Black Dragon and he agrees to disclose it to his colleagues. The skills that he used were instant hyper-augmentation and capacity boost that allows him to amplify magic by a factor of 100. He then asks others about their special abilities. Luceria can trace the residue of magic, and Selma can use telepathy in a few kilometers of range. Once the introduction is over, they decide to buy for Orin some new special weapons. Orin and his group arrive at blacksmith Alan's shop, asking if he can make them a sword. Alan has no idea why the 1st Division is coming into his humble shop all of a sudden, until he recognizes Orin. He is well aware that his latest customer is the famous Dragon Slayer. It looks like Alan feels quite lucky about making his sword because he is practically making a hero's weapon. However, the poor guy doesn't know if he's quite fit for the job, as he expects that Orin has a pretty good and well-respected blacksmith working for him. Of course, he immediately finds out that a hero like Orin does not have a weapon made only for him by the hands of a blacksmith. He can see that Orin has the weapons that are sold on the market, which makes him go crazy with anger and frustration, with a little bit of shock. He absolutely cannot believe that Orin has put his life in the hands of the commercial market and products. He definitely should not settle for something he bought off the shelf, right? Orin feels quite embarrassed as he explains to the passionate blacksmith that he is not particularly picky about guns. He has obviously changed his mind after Rain got mad at him. His comment clearly makes Rain baffled because she does not remember being mad at him, and before she can start to actually get crazy, Orin immediately changes his statement. He tells Alan that he has always thought that commercial products will be okay, however he seems to have changed his mind now. By now, he is a member of the 1st Silver Rabbit Squadron, and this is important enough to change his mind and get a real sword for himself. Alan agrees to make the sword for him after listening to his speech, but there's one problem before he can begin. Apparently, he needs to use the deepest materials in the Great Labyrinth if he's going to make a custom sword. It looks like he might be handing over a new quest to Orin. His smile doesn't fade, as he reveals that he already has a lot of deep materials from back in the day when he used to be with the heroes. The other members of the party also had many deep materials, however, Orin doesn't think that they have them anymore since they used them up or sold them long ago. Orin was the only one smart enough to collect and save all these materials as he wanted to save them for himself. Alan is also glad to have so much stuff to make a weapon from, and it looks like he just can't wait to get to work. This is when Rain notices a black thing among the materials and asks Orin about it. He reveals that the black materials are the scales of the Black Dragon that he defeated the other day, which surprises everyone in the shop. Rain also tells him that the 1st Squadron fought against the Black Dragon last year, and they lost a man, which is why it's so traumatic for her. However, she still wants him to get this weapon made, because the Black Dragon scales can make a weapon turn into absolute perfection. Orin knows that Rain hasn't been able to forgive her enemy, the Black Dragon, but he is also aware that she keeps a keen watch on him, therefore he's looking forward to it. This is when he reveals that he always knew that a standard grimoire would never be able to hold all the items that he collects, which is why he consulted a wizard who made him a new grimoire with several times more storage capacity. This reminds them all of the legendary wizard Coverdale Evans, and everyone wants to contact him now. But Auron cannot reveal his sources as he had accepted the conditions to keep quiet about it. Therefore, he apologizes to his friends and not being able to reveal anything else about his cool grimoire. Well, it seems like Auron's welcome party can wait, because Alan needs him to stay back and give details about the perfect sword that he desires. This is why he says bye to his group as they leave, and begins to have the shop talk with Alan as he explains that he wants the sword to be primarily made of the dragon scales. Auron gives him some more specifications to keep in mind, and it's obvious that he wants a sword that is impossible to make. Thankfully, the brave Alan is up for the challenge, and promises to be done with the sword within a month. Auron walks out of his shop with a smile on his face, as Alan has given him a sword to thank him for giving him all the deep materials. It has started to make him feel that he has finally become a Night Sky Silver Rabbit explorer. He reaches home to find out that Estella has sent the materials for the newcomers in the mail, and he is looking forward to working closely with the new recruits. Suddenly, he spots a message from Estella in the document as well, and he opens the letter immediately out of curiosity. Estella explains in the letter that she has sent everything she could about finding the careers of the newcomers, even though some of the content is a bit depressing. She would clearly love to get a review from Auron himself after he has gone through the material. Auron is a bit surprised to read that the content is a bit depressing. Therefore, he starts going through the material right away. The second page is a brief history of the 10th team, and the subsequent pages are the profiles of each member. Lauren's profile comes up, first in line, and Auron is glad to find out that he has also come from a rural village to become a scout. Well, his profile reminds him a lot of his own journey, and he expects that Logan can become a great scout if he keeps working hard. Sophia is next, and it turns out that she is the illegitimate daughter of Count Claudel, and a servant girl. Her mother had passed away, which is why she went to live with the Count's family, where his wife treated her pretty badly. Poor Sophia wasn't even sent to the House of Lords even though her half-sister Selma graduated from there and left home. Sophia faced a lot of mistreatment from Miss Claudel until Selma came back, and brought her into the squadron where she decided to be a scout herself. This story was pretty ugly for sure. Next in line is Caroline, who seems to have a special ability called self-healing, and it turns out that she was also held captive in the fortress of the Order of the Cyclamen. According to the books, the Cyclamen clan believes in some evil god and regularly have rituals where they attempt to resurrect their god. And this makes it even more shady because Auron has no idea what happened to Caroline in that fortress. The first unit had saved her after their raid on the Cyclamen, where they had found Caroline's mental state was quite unstable after being treated inhumanely. She later joined the clan as a scout upon her own request. The story is quite depressing for sure, and Auron can only imagine what she must have been through during her time as a captive. He knows quite a lot about the three of them now, and promises to take care of their mental health as well as teach them how to be a good scout. He is sure about doing a job with the utmost dedication. Therefore, he starts reading as he needs to wake up early the next morning. The next morning arrives, and Lucre shows up to wake him when she finds out that Auron has managed to finish so many books in a single night. It's almost impossible for her, until he begins using his magic to levitate the book, which is actually a pretty cool trick. They hear rain arriving, therefore Lucre tells her that it's a ghost who is making the books levitate around the room, and this scares her too much to speak. Before she can go into complete shock though, Auron tells her that he can use magic to levitate light objects and books, and it impresses Rain after she hurls an earful of abuses at Lucre, who is laughing at how scared she got. Selma greets her squad as she arrives in the morning to tell them that they've been asked to collect the Hex and Beast materials. Therefore, it looks like they need to have a meeting first. She reveals that they have to go to layer 86 and find the Noxus sheep since their wool is extremely strong and elastic, making it a highly sought after material. Plus, it's used to make the uniforms of their clans as well, so they will be set for the future. They need to move on to the confirmation of this collaboration, therefore they start off with the support magic. Selma volunteers to take care of the power-ups for everyone except Auron, who has his own support magic to deal with. He is also glad that he is able to reduce her workload so considerably, which is why he's on board with this plan. The main attackers are decided to be Auron and Rain, while Will is going to keep the Hex and Beast's attention on himself. Lucre is also told to keep her restorative magic reserves, and it looks like they're all set to go on this mission. Auron can't wait to go to the lower levels as a swordsman, and promises that he will not fail his new clan, which has welcomed him with open arms. Later, they enter the Great Labyrinth after hearing a lot of rumors about Auron, who is quite famous now. Well, he tries his best to not pay attention to any gossip, as he wants everyone to know that he has joined the Silver Rabbit clan. They soon arrive at level 86, which is surrounded by beautiful sights because this particular level has a natural environment, like a forest. Suddenly, they spot a magic bullet coming towards them, therefore they immediately begin to prepare their defenses. This is when Oren notices that Will has a double-edged sword, which is an extremely difficult weapon to use, but he can't wait to see how his classmate uses it to his advantage. Surprisingly, he manages to smash magic to Oren's amazement, while Rain finds out that the enemy had fired the magic bullet is right underneath her. She deals with the unseen enemy right away, which impresses Oren a lot because their group has managed to perfectly time their defense even though it was a surprise attack on them. Selma believes that the attack might have been done by the Earth Dragon, therefore she asks everyone to stay cautious. Oren smiles at them, thinking about how they are all individually strong as well. Rain is an amazing magician for sure, while Will proved to be an on-point swordsman, and even Lecrae turned out to be a trustworthy partner. His thoughts are soon interrupted, as Selma asks Oren if he can deal with the Earth Dragon, while the rest of them will provide him all the support that he requires. Will and Oren are going to be the ones to take the monster down, so they coordinate among each other when Oren notices that there's a weird thing coming from the dragon. He looks closely to find out that it's a hide turtle that has changed its color to mimic the scenery around it, which is why he focuses his initial attack on this beast. However, he is about to be done with the hide turtle when another Earth Dragon shows up to ruin his fun. This is when Selma lets them know that Rain and Lecrae's magic tricks will finish off the beasts. Therefore, they space jump while their group members count down to the attack. The defeat of the monsters is completed the next second, and they are all happy about the team's first battle together. Oren also compliments them for working so well together, and they continue to explore level 86 for the next 2 hours. Before they can look further though, they spot the famous noxious sheep that they have come looking for. Oren quickly jumps to shear the wool of the Hexen beast, since there is a chance that its body might disappear after being killed. The group works together once again, while Will and Oren do the same job of shearing the wool from the sheep. Rain's job is to melt the wool with some magic, which instills some more confidence in them, and they continue to obtain a total of 4 woolens, and this ends their quest for the day. A good day like this certainly calls for some celebrations. Therefore, all of them make plans to have a celebratory dinner as an excuse to welcome Oren to their team. Before they can start off though, Oren takes Selma to the side, asking her if she can go to the First Division with her the next day as he has some business to take care of with the search and rescue department. She reveals that she also has to go to the exploration department, therefore it's fine for him to tag along. Well, the serious talk is out of the way, so they reach the restaurant to celebrate and Oren's new teammates raise a toast for him straight away. He also tells them that he is enjoying his time with them a lot, and this information actually makes them all glad. They have an enjoyable time as they continue to drink and talk their hearts out, and this makes Oren think that he will never regret his decision to join this clan, since they're all so welcoming and amazing at their jobs. However, before he can call it a night, he notices that Selma is looking at him with a twinkle in her eye, and she keeps calling him a good man while smiling up at him. He has never seen her like this, therefore it's making him a bit confused about what to do in front of her. Selma moves closer to Oren, and it's clear that she is in an extremely flirty mood. He is also getting distracted by her soft lips and body, but it's obvious to him that she is drunk. It looks like she's interested to know what he's doing later in the night, and this makes him realize that this situation is too dangerous for him. Selma continues to pay him more compliments, while he just wants her to calm down before she does anything that they might both regret. This makes her think that he doesn't find her too attractive, but Oren's main issue is that she's just too pretty to avoid, and he might not have a lot of self-control in front of her. Selma suggests that they should spend the night together until dawn, which makes Oren call out to Rain for backup. Unfortunately for him though, his backup also wants to join them until the morning arrives, and he seems to be stuck with the 2 girls for now. He does look like such a player with the 2 girls sticking to his sides the whole time, while the rest of the clan makes fun of him. He starts getting all kinds of inappropriate images in his head, which makes him freak out, and he keeps thinking of ways to get out of this situation. The last option for him is using magic, therefore he utilizes the sleep guide trick to make both the girls fall asleep. Before Lecrae can invite herself along with him as well, he tells her to handle all the accounting while being extremely glad that this trick worked. Meanwhile, Sophia is getting bored thinking about what Oren is doing at that moment when she hears a knock. Later, she finds out that it's Oren at the door, which makes her think that he might be drunk. Plus, there must be something important that he wants to talk about with her, right? Her hopes and dreams are definitely crushed though when she opens the door to see Oren carrying her sister on his back. She misunderstands that they're having an affair, however Oren explains to her that Selma is just a bit drunk. Sophia immediately tries to wake her sister up, and is soon successful in her attempts as Selma wakes up, looking quite confused. Oren begins to leave after dropping him off, but stops to let Sophia know that he will be teaching for the 10th group soon enough, and this really makes her forget all of her worries. The next day, Lecrae introduces Oren to Nina, who belongs to the Magical Development Division and is quite impressed with him already. Lecrae shows her the trick where she can make objects float, revealing that Oren is the one who taught her the trick. This excited Nina quite a bit, as she asks Oren to teach her some of this brilliant magic as well, and he happily agrees to show her the trick even though she doesn't belong to their group. Apparently, Oran plans on publishing all of his tricks for everyone to use in the future, which is an exciting bit of information for her. He obviously wants to publish it under his new clan's name. Therefore, both of them discuss the strategy of publishing, since Nina looks like someone who knows a lot about regulations. Furthermore, Oran believes that his original magic should generate a little income as he wants some money to help those who belong to his clan. Hearing his good intentions, Nina also promises to offer him some help and support from her department, and this might have just become a pretty sweet deal for Oran. At this point, Nina asks if he can come with her to the First Division, as she wants some of his opinions on future magic developments. Her request sounds reasonable enough, therefore Oran has to accept it, but she also tells her he can only go with her when he is free since he's about to get really busy from here on out. He informs them that he's going to teach the new recruits of the first unit, which makes Nina realize that those kids must have some real talent to make Oran want to train them. Of course, she wants Oran to visit the division as often as he can as well, and also offers to exchange Lucre with him so he can teach her instead of one of the new recruits. Oran smiles a bit at their childish behavior, as they seem to be getting out of control. However, he refuses to accept any exchange, but he soon realizes that he needs to leave for his next meeting. He starts to walk towards the exploration department where Selma had been waiting for him for quite some time. After what happened with the drunk Selma, this meeting is quite embarrassing for both of them. Without giving him a chance to speak though, Selma apologizes to him right away for causing the inconvenience. Oran laughs at how cute she looks before telling her that she doesn't need to worry about anything since they were all drunk. She smiles at his warm response and lets him know that she's ready to help him with whatever he needs. However, she has the same cute and hot look on her face, which reminds Oran about the previous night when they had been too close. This makes him blush really hard, and he realizes that it will take some time for him to forget, therefore he changes the topic and asks her where the exploration management department is. When Oran leaves after dropping Selma back to her place, Sophia gets really curious about what happened throughout the night. Therefore, she makes her older sister sit in the room and ask her to walk through the entire night. Selma is terrified of her baby sister at this point, and she is clearly embarrassed by how she ended up drinking so much at Oran's welcome party. Well, she doesn't have any choice but to tell the facts to Sophia, which is why she begins telling her about how she and her team ended up at the restaurant to celebrate. She clearly got carried away there and drank more alcohol than usual, so she ended up passing out, which is why Oran had to carry her back to the house. It looks like she's regretting everything by now, while Sophia just stays silent the whole time. Finally, Sophia complains about her being busy. Therefore, Selma reassures her that Oran has lifted a lot of weight off her shoulder by joining the clan. It looks like she's trying to explain to Sophia that she will have more time for their sisterly bonding. Hearing this, Sophia just asks her to be more careful and not cause trouble for other people. This surely makes Selma smile because she had never gotten lectured from her little sister. Plus, she's proud of how mature she's becoming, and this makes her think that she's a little angel sent from heaven while her eyes tear up. Sophia quickly changes the subject though, explaining to her that she is expected to go check on her new team members if they can work well together, and confirms from Selma that Oran is the one who's going to be in charge of them. Sophia is evidently quite happy about Oran accepting this position, as she mentions that he had started caring about the three of them since the search and guide training. Her motivation seems to have increased now, which makes Selma happy, and she decides to take a shower before going to sleep. Her joy is adorable for sure, and Selma is happy that her little sister smiles a lot more these days. It's clear to her that Sophia's feelings for Oran are a lot more special than she realizes, which is a bit frustrating for her because such feelings used to be directed towards Selma before this strange hero came along in their lives. However, she can't be bitter about this because it might just be her pretty little sister's first love, and she should support her, no matter what happens. This makes her think that she should apologize to Oran because she has started to remember how flirty she got with him at the restaurant. She has never embarrassed herself like this before, and even though she's aware about how much she likes Oran as a person, however, she really doesn't want to feel any other emotions towards him. Of course, it might just be a bit hard for her to control her heart, since she can feel it beating loudly just when she starts thinking about him. And it seems like she has to get a grip on herself before she makes any strong decisions. Feelings can be complicated too sometimes, right? She prepares for her relaxing shower while her mind is occupied with these thoughts, until Sophia enters the bathroom as well. Her sister wants to ask if she wants to use a new towel, but her sudden appearance has completely scared Selma that she can't even speak for a few minutes. Her eyes land on the new towel, and she relaxes as she realizes that she doesn't want to think about anything other than Sophia. She has no idea how much time they have to live together like sisters, so she really has to do her best for the innocent girl in front of her. Selma thanks her for everything before Sophia leaves her to continue her shower, and she happily takes off her clothes to rinse off all the thoughts from her mind and body. Her mood starts becoming lighter almost immediately, and she has decided that she prefers to keep her relationship with Oran as it is. However, this also makes her think if that will be too naive of her. Even though she got drunk at night, she is aware that people tend to speak out their true feelings under such an influence. However, she is not sure if she really spoke her heart out. It's clear that she's not ready to accept any of the unacceptable thoughts, and it's obviously playing tricks on her mind. Maybe she just needs some time to figure out exactly what she wants to do in her life. We're back to the next morning, where Selma and Oren have come over to the administration section of the guild to discuss some things. Estrella welcomes them both after they notice that this particular department is a bit untidy. Well, it's more organized than before, so Estella feels proud to show it off. Oren feels a weird vibe from her though, since his impression of Estella was a bit different during their first meeting. This really makes him wonder if the girl sitting in front of him is truly the real Estella or not. Selma is quick to mention to her that Oren seems displeased with her lack of formality, but Estella is still confident that she's doing her job properly. Of course, she also suggests that they should put the casual chatter aside for now, and thanks both of them for coming over so promptly. Estella is glad to hear that they both have reviewed the documents that she sent over regarding Team 10 last time. It's time for them to continue to the next page. Therefore, she asks Oren if he can be trusted with the guidance of the 3 new children. Oren thinks about them for a second before agreeing to take over the responsibility with a satisfied smile on his face. Estella has some more questions about the educational policy because she believes that it must be taken care of. Apparently, she wants the children to learn from Oren's style, and he can do that by teaching them everything after using everything he has seen and experienced so far in his life as an explorer. Her demands aren't that unreasonable, since the 3 new recruits are going to be the core of the next generation of the Silver Rabbit clan, which is why they should be getting what they need. Besides all the knowledge and skills, there might be other things to teach as well, right? Selma speaks up at this point, assuring her that educational policies for the children can be set aside. However, it can also be beneficial if they set up some goals for their development as well. Estella also puts some thought into this suggestion, and begins explaining that she needs the recruits well prepared enough to conquer the middle level with just the members of the Team 10 after 6 months. It's quite an ambitious goal, but they fit well with the clan's new promises, and Selma also doesn't look to be completely opposed to this goal. This definitely won't prove to be an impossible task, and she has lots of faith in Oren's mentorship qualities as well. Oren doesn't look too sure though, because even though the new recruits have been through the middle levels during their education quest, he knows that they didn't even have to face any boss battles. He is unsure if it will be safe enough for them to try such levels within just 6 months. It doesn't matter to him since he's always up for a challenge, so he promises to do his best, and it's enough to make Estella and Selma happy. Of course, his cuteness plays a huge role in their happiness, but they aren't going to tell him that. Later, he stands in front of the room in which the 3 recruits are waiting for him. He feels bad for not being able to see Logan and Caroline in 4 days, even though he met Sophia for a while during this time. He is really unsure if they will treat him the same way or not, since their behavior might change since he became their mentor. He enters the room after inhaling a long breath, but ends up getting pleasantly surprised when all 3 of them express a lot of joy the second they see him. He has realized that it's been quite a long time since he saw the 3 of them, so he might have been overly concerned a few minutes back. The 3 of them have already heard that Oren has offered to guide them directly, and they look really happy about it. This is when Logal tells him that it's quite unbelievable for him to be trained by such an experienced explorer, but his speech makes Oren spot something different in him. Moving on, Oren tries to manage their expectations regarding him by putting it out there that he's not that good of an explorer. However, these kids have seen him fighting against the Black Dragon, and it's pretty obvious that they think of Oren as a hero. He doesn't have much influence over third-party perspectives, even though he believes that he had almost died against the Black Dragon. He really needs to stop fighting recklessly sometimes, as he should really become stronger to protect everyone's safety. At this point, Oren tells them that they will have to defeat the Black Dragon themselves someday, which catches them off guard. They wish to deal with the Black Dragon someday, of course, but they are definitely not ready for that challenge yet. Oren thinks it's the perfect time to compliment as well. Therefore, he announces that the 3 of them will definitely become great explorers since they all have a lot of potential. Their new guide is going to teach them all the knowledge and skills, but he needs to set down some more things for them before they can get started. Firstly, Oren wants them to keep their minds open as he believes that there are always many different ways to solve things, which is why nobody should ever limit themselves to just one way of doing things. If they can change their way of thinking, then even a casual conversation or an everyday scene can lead to an unexpected solution. Secondly, he doesn't want them to believe that whatever he says is absolutely 100% correct. He is aware that he has made countless mistakes in his life. Therefore, he doesn't want his new students to take his words at face value. More importantly, they should analyze and integrate his words with their own knowledge and experience, which can really help them become the best version of themselves. His speech is quite surprising for the 3 students, but they agree to whatever Oren tells them because they clearly don't have a choice. Of course, Oren also asks them why they even chose to become explorers, as he wants to understand the kind of dreams and goals these kids have for the future. Starting with Sophia, she lets him know that she aspires to become exactly like her sister, Selma. This doesn't mean that she's going to be a cheap copy though, as she has a clear plan to uncover her own unique goals and aspirations within the vast universe. Her answer isn't that surprising for Oren, as he was already aware of the content, but it feels much better to hear it all from her own mouth. He also remembers that she had mentioned about her world changing since she joined the clan, and after getting to know her family situation back at home, her image in Oren's mind has started to evolve into a full-blown masterpiece-like painting. He promises to lend his support in her quest as well, and turns to Logan, who only mentions that he wants to earn enough points to provide for his family back home. It turns out that all of the villagers from his home have collectively sent him to the city to earn for them, since their hometown is in quite a destitute region. Oren really had no idea about his struggle, and advises him to thank all of the villagers when he does get a chance one day. The good thing is that Logan is very self-aware, and he knows about his weaknesses since he always thought that he had the strength of an advanced explorer. However, the last educational quest made him realize that there's a long way for him to go. The change in him becomes more obvious to Oren now, and he can tell that the boy has become more in touch with his main objectives this time. He promises to teach him everything he can, which will be the biggest help he can give to him, right? It's finally Caroline's turn now, and Oren can't wait to hear her story since it's one of the most exciting backstories that he has ever come across. Therefore, he prepares himself for this storytelling session. Caroline begins by putting it out there that she doesn't have a particular reason behind wanting to become an explorer. If she absolutely had to say something though, she feels like she became an explorer to see the smile on people's faces when she takes down the magical beasts. Her answer is not quite satisfactory for Oren, as he can't believe that for someone who had gone through such a traumatic incident, Caroline doesn't have a real reason behind her choosing one of the most non-peaceful professions. He can sense that she still carries a deep darkness within her, and she doesn't want to show it to anyone. Well, no matter the reason, Oren still believes that Caroline's actions are aiding someone because they are able to snag magical gems after flying the beasts. These items are obviously really vital for everyone's power. Caroline is happy to hear his point of view before she points out that she enjoys the smiles of everyone around her, since the dolls who beam with joy don't lay a hand on her. Now, everyone around her can guess that she has been through a dark phase in her life, and they need to know more about her experiences. But Oren can only hope that she will be comfortable enough to reveal her secrets to them one day. After hearing them all out, Oren starts off by telling them to always remember what they have just admitted, since they all need to have a first motivation in their hearts to survive the tough explorer world. At this point, he also reveals that he became an explorer as he never wanted to lose a thing in his life. He knew that he could not protect anything if he remained weak in his life. Therefore, his goal is to become stronger than ever before. He promises to take each one of his new students seriously. Even though he might dish on them a few times or turn them away occasionally, he lets them believe that he is their closest ally for sure. Before moving on, Oren asks Caroline if they can call her by a simpler name since her real name is a mouthful, which might not be helpful during the intense battle situations. Of course, she doesn't look sad about it, and gives a hearty permission to Oren so he can choose a new nickname for her. The new teacher comes up with the name Carol, and everybody immediately loves it. Hearing this, Logan speaks up since he wants Oren to choose a nickname for him as well. Well, this is the first time that someone is demanding a nickname from Oren, and he thinks for a bit before coming up with the name Logue, which isn't too great, but it's enough to make Logan happy for now. Sophia also turns to him, suggesting that her nickname should be Sophie, and gets instant happiness when Oren promises to call her by this new nickname as well. Now, it's their turn to come up with a nickname for Oren, since it doesn't feel right to Logan that they don't have a silly nickname for their teacher. He soon finds out though that it's pretty difficult to come up with a nickname for Oren, which makes Caroline announce that she's going to address him as Shisho, which means master. It seems like they're taking this really seriously, but Oren can't do anything about it, so he gives them the go-ahead to call him whatever they want. Except for Sophie, obviously, as she wants to address him by his name like always. Now that all of these important discussions are done, Oren feels like they should just kick off their first lesson. They decide to start with the basics because it's just their first day, and it's better for them to begin their training with something they already know. First off, Oren wants to talk to them about the demons that lurk in the labyrinth, explaining that they have a natural inclination to target humans. Demons tend to go after crowded places, which is why they should always be aware of where they're going when they're exploring. Plus, demons are always after the magical stones as well, because they can get stronger by using them. Of course, they turn into magical stones once the explorers defeat them, but it's all up to their skill set too. This makes the magical stones the perfect way to subtract these demons from attacking, and this is the best reason for them to have these stones in handy at all times. This is when Sophie raises her hand, which makes it clear that she might have a question. Oren gives her the stage, as she begins asking if Oren wears a magical stone around his neck while fighting the Black Dragon. Oren proves her theory correct by agreeing, and is really glad about Sophia noticing every little thing about him, as well as guessing the intentions behind some of his actions, which have made her a much broader perspective than most people he meets. Oran soon moves on from this topic and focuses on the combat magical artifact, which allow them to easily activate spells, but they can quickly become counterproductive if too many of them are carried on an exploration adventure. Explaining it to them in more simple words, Oran just lets them know that they will end up attracting more demons if they carry so many artifacts. This makes Logan quite excited, since he didn't know this information at all. Therefore, he begins to admire the skill set and knowledge of Oran. The teacher isn't too flattered though, as he feels that Logan might just be overdoing it a bit, and he's definitely acting a little strange this morning as well. Lunchtime soon arrives during their lecture, and Oran tells them to all feed themselves so they can go to the labyrinth with all their energy. He really does believe that they should get out there and do some exploring, instead of studying theory every day. The three kids clearly don't want to leave him, therefore they end up finishing the packaged food that he brought from home. They soon finish the entire packed food even though it doesn't taste any better, and they all stand up to go to the labyrinth. Later, Oran and his students stand on the 11th floor of the labyrinth where the teacher tells them to fight separately as he wants to see how far they can go. Sophia is the first one to attract the beasts, and the slimes soon show up to ruin their party. Of course, the girl doesn't look too bothered, and she starts off by shooting fire arrows at the little smiles where Oran notices that her strategy is quite excellent for someone her age. She manages to defeat all of them in no time, while the rest of her group cheers and claps for her, looking all impressed. Oran is scared for Carol, since she is extremely injured, and it's totally weird for him to see that somebody would harm their own doll like this. Keeping his personal feelings aside though, he moves closer to tell her to calm down and perform some kind of healing on herself. She does exactly as she is told, and her wounds start to heal in a matter of seconds, which is truly unbelievable for Oran. He even wonders if her powers are truly so incredible because he remembers reading something about Carol in some documents a few days ago. Watching his curious face, Carol lets him know that she has the power to self-heal, which is a unique ability since she can heal herself in an instant, no matter how badly she is hurt. It does sound like her body is practically invincible, and this is why she is used to the pain of her injuries by now, as they always end up healing quickly. Her speech hasn't fully satisfied Oran though, and he isn't sure if they can rely on Carol's surprising abilities. This also makes him question if she has been throwing herself at magical creatures all this time because of this power only. This doesn't guarantee that she can always come out stronger against much stronger enemies, right? He does realize that he needs to stop her from thinking like this, therefore he asks her to take a good look at the faces of her companions. He makes her notice that their smiles are all gone because she keeps hurting herself, and even though she can heal herself, he explains that they all feel pain whenever she's hurt. Since they are not used to experiencing pain like her, just seeing a companion in pain doesn't bring them joy anymore. Carol has no words after being put in this tough spot, as she doesn't want to cause pain in her companions' lives for sure. Therefore, she starts crying right in front of Oran. She asks him what she can do to avoid this in the future, which makes him realize that this girl's ultimate fear is losing the ability to see smiles on the faces of those around her. Her constant pleading makes Oran advise her that she will just have to avoid feeling all this pain, and she immediately lets go of the knife that she has been holding this entire time. Her actions make Oran glad that she will never hurt herself again, so he asks her to smile. However, her reaction is the opposite as she starts crying, begging him not to hurt her because her traumatic experiences and the sect won't disappear so easily, even though she keeps saying that her mind is at peace. Oran realizes that he needs to handle her with care, which is why he smiles to let her know that he isn't angry at her and there's no one around for them to hurt her. Of course, he promises to protect her if a situation like this ever comes up, so he asks her not to worry about it for now. This is when Oran tells them all that they have to end their training session here and head back to the base, even though he actually wanted to see all three of them working together. It turns out that he has already taken control of the abandoned beasts on the way with his attack magic before the three of them noticed. He especially doesn't want Carol to encounter a magical beast as he didn't know how she would react, so keeping it a secret makes sense, right? About their future plans though. Oran has set to teach them every 2 days, which isn't an entirely bad schedule. They can surely venture into the Great Labyrinth on the day without instruction, but he lays out 4 conditions in front of them. Firstly, they should always stay together. Secondly, they should not challenge the floor boss, and they should not go beyond the 11th floor without his permission as the 3rd condition. The 4th and last condition is for their own safety, as it requires them to never act recklessly under any circumstances. Thankfully, the 3 of them understand these conditions and agree to them right away. Furthermore, Oran also wants them to keep 1 free day if they do go to the labyrinth, since he doesn't want them to push themselves so hard and they are so young that they do deserve a break every once in a while. Obviously, he recommends reading books in the exploration department's library as they have many useful things written in them. Once their little meeting is done, Carol and Sophia walk out of the room first after bidding their goodbyes to their instructor, which makes Oran think if their peers are more suitable for post-mission tracking than he is. Before he can be completely left alone with his feelings, he notices that Log has stayed behind in the room, and it looks like he's in need of Oran's time. As he starts talking, Log tells him the confusion he has about his current skill level, and it seems like he needs his master's honest opinion on this. Before answering, Oren decides that it's okay to log it in the current record as it doesn't seem like there will be any more unfair advantage taking. Turning his attention back to Log, he tells his student that he can handle it just fine, even though he is already on an A-rank team. Hearing it this way makes Log more confident, so he asks if Oren can show him how to wield a sword. Oren is shocked at this request because he thinks that Log has got his magic pretty well under control for now, so he doesn't really understand his sudden interest in swordplay. It sounds like Log doesn't want Carol to bear all the frontline responsibilities after watching her today, and he hopes to lighten her mood by staying by her side. Plus, he aspires to become an explorer like Oren, who is capable of handling various skills. Therefore, it makes sense for him to learn everything, right? Oren knows that it's his way of looking out for the team. However, he informs him that it might just become less proficient in magic if he picks up the sword skills. It might just weaken his overall abilities as well. Of course, his words of caution are heard by his student, but Log is still willing to take the risk as he wants to progress in his journey. His determination makes Oren realize that they do need more people in the front lines, but he isn't sure if Log can manage fighting in the front while managing buffs and commands the whole time. In this case, Sophia might be left in the rear to give the order, which could be a bit problematic. This is why he suggests that they should discuss this issue with the other two the next time they meet up for training. At this point, Oren lets him know that he won't be teaching him swordsmanship, which shocks Log until he finds out that his master is willing to teach him the alternative ways of using weapons. This new skill can come in handy for a magical specialist like Log, and keeping a distance from enemies might be advantageous, so he announces that he will be teaching the art of using a spear to his excited pupil. On the other hand, Oliver's team has reached the 76th floor, where Anari isn't too happy about being stuck to gather magic stones on the lower floors. Their healer, Luna, tries to calm her down by stating the obvious that they are restricted from venturing deeper until they meet this quota. It sounds like they've got orders from the guild to deliver a large number of magic stones, which is all because of the embarrassing blunder by Oliver, as he accidentally transported the Black Dragon to the 50th floor from the 92nd floor. They clearly had to use the Force Return spell to fix the situation, which is why they need to collect all the magic stones that were used in the spell as a penalty. This is when Philly notices that there's a group of white bear magical beasts heading in their direction from up ahead. Therefore, they decide to handle these beasts according to their plan. Thankfully, Philly knows exactly how long her support spell lasts on each one of them, so she won't run out of magical energy. Oliver is aware that Oren is the one who recommended her as an expert in support magic, and he's desperate to try her out in such serious situations. Remembering Oren, Oliver asks if he was actually being truthful about the buff durations or if he was just playing a silly trick on them. Philly reveals that the actual durations are a tad longer than he taught them, but she is planning to double check the exact times as she wonders if Oren has something against her. Surprisingly, Oliver defends Oren by saying that he's not the kind of person to spread false information just for fun, as he has always been pretty meticulous when he worked with them. The sudden change is due to the high-ranking guild official who was at the meeting, and he was deliberately feeding them false information. Moreover, he was keeping some details about them from the higher-ups at the guild, which makes him look even more suspicious. Keeping these problems aside, Oliver tells them all to focus on the magical beasts when Darius rushes out to them without even a warning. It looks like Derek charges right at the enemies as soon as he spots them ever since the last blunder, but it might be throwing off their coordination. Neri also attacks with a fire spear that is not received well by Oliver, and it makes him realize that she has started to follow Philly's instructions without even thinking twice about it. For some reason, he has a strange feeling whenever he looks at Philly, and it might be because he is still unsure about her. Focusing back on the task, Derek goes solo, while Neri's shots go off target and Luna doesn't even join the fight as she is busy dealing with the magical beast that they accidentally let escape. Without coordination or teamwork, Oliver is well aware that there will be no way around conquering the 94th floor, which makes him think that they need to make some significant changes in the team. A few hours later, Oliver and his team arrive at the headquarters to find a visitor approaching in the carriage. Oliver recognizes him as Count Fergus's butler, and this Count is a major sponsor of their hero group. However, it doesn't make sense for his butler to pay them a visit. It turns out that the butler is here to take Oliver to the Count, who insists on the hero joining him immediately. Apparently, it concerns the article in the newspaper about the sudden appearance of the Black Dragon on the 50th floor. Oliver loses his mind after seeing that the media has been involved in such a scandal, but he agrees to have a meeting with the Count even though he isn't happy about going alone. It's clear that their luck turned for the worst when they removed Oren from the group. However, since he has no choice, he quietly enters the Count's mansion, who welcomes him with a stern expression. Oren and Log are still having their discussion on the new weapons that they can try out, and Oren already thinks that his student will not become more arrogant. This is exactly why he thinks that Log will be able to do it without any issues. His comment obviously makes the younger boy happy because his teacher's confidence has given him much to be thankful for. Of course, he asks if Oren is going to teach him how to use a sword, which makes Oren confused because Log really can't be serious with this request since he has already mastered the magic of granting. Log has already made up his mind to help Carol on the front lines. Besides, he wants to become an explorer who is capable of doing anything just like his teacher. Oren informs him about his fear of making Log weaker if he isn't able to blend them well with magic. Well, Log is clearly ready to take this risk, and even with Oren's current reservations, he decides to talk about it with the other two the next time. This is the perfect time for Oren to let him know that he will be teaching him how to use other weapons, instead of the sword, since he needs to be able to fight with the enemy from a distance. It looks like Oren will not back down until he makes Log agree to use a spear. Meanwhile, Oliver's hero group is all set on the 76th floor, when they get ready to beat the magical bears that are about to attack them. After coming back, Oliver thinks about the time they expelled Oren, and even though he holds no grudges against his ex-teammate, Oliver won't hesitate to do anything he can to remain the strongest. He is scared that if he loses his position, then he will end up giving up on something of importance once again. On the other hand, a hooded person is sitting in front of Count Fergus with a determined look on his face. At this point, the Count tells him that easing an article like this would be a piece of cake for him, however it would worsen his reputation for sure. It looks like the mysterious person wants to push Oliver even further in order to unleash his true power. The Count also reveals that he has no dreams or ideals, and winning in the end is enough for him anyway, so it's natural for him to join those who dominate the world. Understanding his way of thinking, the hooded figure goes away, leaving a sinister feeling in the Count's heart. Soon it's revealed that the hooded person is Philly, when Inari comes to find her in a deserted place, but it's clear that she has no idea about what Philly has been up to. Apologizing for making Inari worry, Philly tells her that she only looks out for her team. Inari finds the perfect opportunity to gossip about how Luna has just gone to visit her family because she thinks that it's selfish of her to do so. On the other hand, Luna has reached her family at the Flockhart Company, where she meets up with her father-in-law and informs him that she is considering leaving the hero group. She thinks that the hero group is on the decline after the newspaper article, therefore she intends on leaving them immediately after collecting all the stones. Her father-in-law gets angry at her announcement, asking what they will do if the hero group decides to sever ties with the house of Count Fergus. It's a tough situation for them because they have to maintain good relations with the Count to remain the leading company around. Luna is not convinced by his outburst, even though he tells her that she needs to obey him and her family. She has gone through a similar thing when she had no choice but to obey, and she is clearly upset over the fact that her life has been literally shaped by other people's decisions. In the flashback, Luna was quite happy with her invaluable friends in her orphanage about 11 years ago. Luna was just 7 years old when she was adopted, and her friends seemed quite envious over the fact that she has got to become the full daughter of a wealthy family. Of course, it was not a big surprise since she was beautiful and smart, therefore they bid her farewell with good wishes and smiling faces. This is when the Flockhart family's messenger arrived and she left immediately. The couple who had adopted her ran the influential Flockhart Company, but Luna only cared about getting a mom and dad because she was simply happy to be chosen. Clearly she thought that a warm home awaited her, just like in the books, and she met her new parents with the same hope. Her hopes and dreams turned out to be naive soon enough, when she started getting beaten up for not playing the piano well. She obviously had a lot of pressure from her parents as they constantly told her that the future of their house depended on her piano performance. Their biggest advice to her was that she needed to be a good wife, and this is how she became a mere tool for a future political marriage for her new parents. She was still thankful since her environment was much better than the orphanage, and she could finally get an education as well. Plus, she could always marry into a good family if she has, and finally have a better life than before. This is when she decided to work really hard, but there wasn't a political marriage in her destiny since the Farkas family found out that she had some special abilities through her adoptive parents, which is why Count Farkas made an offer to her father. His condition was evidently for Luna to join an exploration group with the two boys who were coming to the city. That is how she met Oliver and Oren, and she joined their group even though she felt guilty for going through with this on someone else's orders. The two boys became irreplaceable for her, and she started having fun with them every day. She had never imagined that she would become obsessed with dangerous dungeon exploration at first. However, the new team made her stronger, and she never lost her true self thanks to those two. She still has no idea about why the Count knew about the two guys, but they really wanted to recruit talented people, which is why Luna still feels that losing Oren has been the most painful experience during this entire time. This kind of thing might not be good for her, but she still wants to break all the chains that bind her, therefore she informs her father-in-law that they have lost a talented teammate like Oren, which is a concerning factor for the hero group. Oren doesn't mean anything, of course, as he reveals that Luna was put in the hero group to support Oliver, and he thinks that she is a true heroine as well. His words don't make much sense to her, and she starts ranting about the fact that they can't defeat the dangerous bosses or the deep layers with just one person. Her father is in no mood to hear her comeback, therefore he sternly tells her to keep her mouth shut since he is the one who gave her a home. She clearly becomes disheartened after this conversation and goes away to her room thinking that her adoptive father does make sense to an extent because he did get her out of the orphanage. However, she also believes that the hero group will fall apart with Derek and Anneli, who are completely out of control. The worst case scenario is that she might lose her life during an expedition. Therefore, she comes up with a plan to actively intervene and restore coordination among the members to stop them from falling apart. With a heavy heart, she goes over to the window and looks out into the distance, wishing for the hero from fairy tales to show up and save her. She knows that fairy tales don't exist and her life will continue to be used by others. Well, nobody can stop her from daydreaming though, right? Plus, she really can't help feeling this way when all she wants to do is become free from all these nonsensical obligations.